All right, on Monday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you a lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. Chiefs lose to the Green Bay Packers 27-19. Tons of stuff to take away from that game. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, players in the locker room, etc., weighing in on what took place there in the game, why they lost, and now regrouping, getting ready for the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs slide down to the number 4 seed, 5 games to play, and the 4 seed right now for the Chiefs. You know, if the season ended today, they'd be playing in the first round of the playoffs. Then they would be going on the road the next couple of weeks. I guess, depending on what happens in the other games. But yeah, so they would be they'd be taking some road games. We would see what the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes would look like on the road in the playoffs. I don't know if this is necessarily the year that you're excited to say, you know what, let's see what they look like on the road. You know what, they may have to go on the road, but let's see what they look like. And it is not something that would be out of the ordinary. The Chiefs played in the first round 2 years ago. It's easy to forget because the Steelers didn't show up after the first 5 or 6 minutes of that game. After, what was it, T.J. Watt that had the defensive touchdown. And then from that point forward, it was just all Chiefs whitewashing. And then they got ready for the huge game against the Bills the next week, which everybody remembers in 13 seconds and lost to the Bengals. So the wild card round is very forgettable because it was a dominant game, and the next 2 games have been much talked about in Chiefs lore and history since then. But they have played in the first round recently without being the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed just happened to lose. Number 4 is going to be a little more difficult for you to have the Arrowhead Invitational. But there are 5 weeks left to go. All winnable games for the Chiefs. This one on Sunday is going to be a bear or a bill. The Bills are wounded.
I wish it was a bear.
yeah, no doubt. They already took care of business with them. You know, get them again. Come on, rematch. Bears won it so badly. But this is going to be a tough one. The Chiefs yesterday before the Packers game were favored by 3.5 over the Bills. They're favored by 3 now. That may have gone down regardless if the Chiefs found a way to win in overtime or just found a way to win in regulation, with so many different things that took place, so many turning points, so many plays that I would wonder what the win probability was on so many massive different plays throughout the game. We can talk about one play here or there, but there were a lot of plays throughout the game where you can go, boy, if you play this thing again, Chiefs could win by double digits. You play this game again, Packers could win by double digits. You know, just the way that Jordan Love played, and it is it's somewhat unfortunate for, at least for Jordan Love and the Packers, in that he played the game of his life on Sunday Night Football, and he has been dynamite the last 4 weeks or so. And the conversation is about the refs and what's wrong with the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. But that's what sells. Oddly enough, Packers, a historic franchise, but even with the Packers winning that game and sitting 6-6 and now back in the playoff hunt for them, the conversation is about the Chiefs, and it is about the refs, and that's the conversation we will have today as well. 913-381-810. We open up the phone lines here on this Monday. We'll talk with Field Yates coming up at noon. We'll hear from Andy Reid about noon 30. Mick Schaefer will join us at 1. We got Learn Funniest Best today. We'll talk some college football with the playoff, 4 teams revealed yesterday, and everybody was fine with it, which is weird. It came out and everybody's like, you know what? Good with it. This is exactly the way that there's no issue here whatsoever. This is the way that it should be, and it's all good, and there's no reason to expand the playoffs because we got what we wanted. No, obviously not the case. We also know the bowl matchups for the local teams with KU, K-State, and Mizzou. KU in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl against UNLV, the Fighting Barry Odoms. The K-State Wildcats in the Pop-Tarts Bowl against NC State, the Fighting Dave Dorans, and the Edible Mascot. And the Missouri Tigers in the Cotton Bowl taking on Ohio State, the Ohio State, without Kyle Accord and probably without Maserati Marv. Notice that, Kyle Accord.
Wow.
That's what Ohio State calls him.
Wow, that's really good.
Maserati Marv and Kyle Accord. There will be no Kyle Accord. Not sure who will be, maybe it'll be Jeff Hyundai. Not sure who will be quarterbacking Ohio State. We'll find out. But those are the bowl matchups coming up for the local teams. Missouri, the only team that is not favored. KU favored by 11.5, K-State 4.5, Missouri 3.5-point dogs in that game. So we'll see as the games get closer. Still, a few weeks away. 913-3810810 is the phone number. 913-912-4810, the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. Let's talk about the game that took place yesterday. Last night, I know you spent a lot of time, Josh, breaking it down and talking about it last night with the callers, with the sound from the Chiefs and the locker room and the podium and things like that. So it is not a surprise, and it is not some sort of an aberration. It's not some sort of an epiphany that there are some issues offensively with this team. They continue to be issues offensively with this team. And one of the things I talked about last week, Josh, when the Chiefs knocked off the Raiders and scored 31 points was, have they figured things out? Is this a sign of things to come? Or the last time they scored 31 points against the Chargers, they went and failed to get to 20 multiple times over the next few weeks until they got to 31 against the Raiders. And just the third time all year, the Chiefs had eclipsed the 30-point mark. So did they figure some things out? The turnovers, the penalties, the drop passes, the negative plays, were those fixed? Was it the, hey, Andy Reid going, I've got to figure those things out? Hey, we did. We did. We eliminated those. That's what we can look like when we don't commit penalties, when we don't turn the ball over, when we don't have negative plays, when we catch the football. That's what this team can look like. That's the offense this team can put out there. A lot of the Raiders game and that performance to me was based on what they looked like against the Packers coming up that Sunday night. We know what they looked like against the Packers. They scored 19 points. They had minimal drives. That is part of it. Drive efficiency in terms of drives and scoring drives, not bad. But they couldn't punch it in the red zone twice in the first half. They got 2 possessions in the first half. I know they were credited with 3. The third one is BS. They took a knee. There were 5 possessions in the first half, not 6. There's 6 possessions, and there were 5. 3 for the Packers, 2 for the Chiefs. Chiefs scored on both of their drives. They just happened to come away with 6 points, where the Packers came away with 14 points on their 3 drives. Again, 913-3810810. Phone line's open if you want to join us and be a part of the show. We'll take your phone calls the first couple of hours or so. We can talk about the refs, which we will get into here in just a little bit. But the Chiefs had opportunities. They had plays. They had self-inflicted wounds. We can go back to the first drive of the game. They get into the red zone. It's first and goal at the 5. I know that the Taylor Swift thing has been awesome, and it's been fun, and we've had fun with it here on the show, and certainly around Kansas City, and her hanging out in KC, just living with Travis Kelce right now is pretty awesome. That, you're just like, Taylor Swift is just in. Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes, and now Kelce. 3 of the most recognizable figures across the country and the world are right here in our backyard. If you're in their backyard, you will be arrested. But right here in our backyard, that is pretty awesome. I preface this by saying that first and goal at the 5 ends up being a sack. Mm-hmm. You would have to get into the mind of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, etc. They wanted to score on first and goal, certainly. I think they wanted to score with Travis Kelce. Mm-hmm. Wanya Morris is in the game for Donovan Smith, so you don't have a lot of time there. And when Patrick Mahomes takes his drop and he stares at Kelce and stares at Kelce and stares at Kelce and then needs to tuck and run because he's got pressure and he's sacked. I don't know, okay? You would have to ask them. But that play felt like we're scoring a touchdown with Travis Kelce, not we're scoring a touchdown with whoever is open, whoever is going to get the ball in this read. I could be completely wrong. It could be Mahomes was staring, and looking off the safety, the linebacker, and then as he looked back to his right, everybody was covered, and that's why he tucked it and ran. He just didn't realize the pressure was that close because Wanya Morris had gotten beat pretty quickly. That is certainly a possibility, okay? I grant that. And there are times where Mahomes ignored Travis Kelce. Okay, that happens too. But they would have to be the ones to tell you for sure what all, was going on through their head. But that was frustrating because you saw the Packers go down and score, and you knew the Chiefs needed to take advantage of those particular opportunities. And so they don't. Third down, 3rd and 9, they get sacked again. Mahomes gets sacked again. They kick a field goal. Second red zone drive, I thought it was a bad call with Creed Humphrey in the hold. That's sort of teach tape. I mean, you've got the guy, and you're also pushing him and blocking with him. All the guy did was just wave his right arm.
Right. He's calling for a fair catch.
That's exactly right. And the ref fell for it and said, oh, well, that must be a hold because Creed Humphrey is driving him down the field. The guy started to go to his left. Creed Humphrey then went, or guy went to his right, Creed Humphrey's left, and then Creed Humphrey ran with him. He didn't stop and pull the guy back. It's a bad call. Would have been 1st and goal to the 2, was not. It was 3rd and ended up being 3rd and 9 at the 11-yard line, and Donovan Smith got whipped, which sucked because it looked like Noah Gray was about to come open in the end zone. He and Travis Kelce were running like a cross. Kelce goes to the out. They follow him. Noah Gray peels to the inside, and it looks like he was going to be open. Mahomes can't get it to him because Donovan Smith just got beat. They had some issues at left tackle last night. They had some self-inflicted wounds. Down 21-19 in the fourth quarter, 11:36 to play. 2nd down and 8. They don't connect with he and MVS with a long pass. He wanted MVS to keep it straight. MVS, for some reason, then tailed it to the defender.
Yeah, he's new.
Mahomes also talked about, and we'll play some clips from Mahomes. Mahomes also talked about that there were some times that he should have just kept it moving, and that particular play probably should have hit Kelce. In fact, I want to hear that clip real quick. Let's hear from Mahomes on the pass to MVS, the miss that took place, the 26-second clip in there. This is the miss on that 2nd down and 8. Chiefs were down by 2 in the fourth quarter, less than 12 minutes to play. Here's that clip on what happened with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a seam post. It's kind of more of a over-the-top post. I saw the safety. He obviously was trying to bend it away from the corner. And I was trying to kind of just straighten him up a little bit to try to get the throw to him. But I think that's one of those that I think throughout the game we were kind of taking what was there and moving the ball down the field. And I think I could have maybe got through the rest of the progression and got to another spot. So it's just stuff that you have to continue to work on throughout the season.
That one's going to stick in the craw of Patrick Mahomes for a while, and Chiefs fans. Because at times you feel like he stares down Travis Kelce, and there was nobody within 10 yards of Kelce who was standing wide open waving his arms at the 34-yard line. And now this was at like, what, the 20-yard line or wherever they were at when they threw that pass? I can't even remember what the location was where they were on the field, what the yardage was, the yard marker. But Kelce was like at the 34. It would have been an easy first down. And then he could have been at the 40. It happens, though. Mahomes isn't going to be perfect. He's not going to see every wide open guy. And by the way, MVS was open too. He had him. They had been taking what was there, and MVS beat his guy over the top. They just weren't on the same page yet again. That is one to where when Mahomes says, I probably should have just taken what was there, for some reason Kelce was not guarded on that play and just standing there at the 34-yard line like, hey, I'm right here. And as the ball went over his head, Kelce was like putting his arms up as like the ball's coming to me, and then just stops and looks over his head and then sees the incomplete pass. That happens.
That clip is home to my tinfoil hat. Like, I don't know what's actually going on, but I hear Mahomes say, I probably should have just kept it moving there. He's saying, well, I shouldn't have thrown it to the open wide receiver. I should have thrown it to the open tight end who I think will actually know where to go.
That's right.
That is jamming.
Yes, and that's something I want to get into, and we'll talk about that as well. And then the interception happens, and then Isaiah Pacheco turns into a boxer. And these things, are devastating throughout the game. Defensively, 4th and 1, they give up the 33-yard pass to Romeo Doubs. Should it have been hands to the face on Michael Dana right in front of the refs?
Yep.
Of course. Sure. Should any of the 3 players that were there in the area as the ball was falling from a 100-story, building, should Mike Edwards not have ran 10 yards past the receiver for some reason as he turned around and kept running back and then oh, wait, the ball's that way? Yeah. Should Justin Reed have been there with the only guy around him, when he floated the ball in the air? Yeah. Those things should have taken place. That's not the officials. And on 2nd down and 16, with less than 10 minutes to play, Chiefs down by 2 in the fourth quarter, down 21-19, 9:55 to play. 2nd down and 16, L'Jarius Sneed has to stay with Romeo Doubs and not try to come up and make a play on the out. It's 2nd and 16. If they hit the out for 8 yards, fine, it's 3rd and 8.
Yep.
What you can't give up is a 27-yard pass to Dobbs yet again. You can't do that. And that was somebody who didn't do his role. One player. Snead has been awesome this year. But he tried to jump a route and make a play. Had Jordan Love thrown it there, would have been an awesome play. Great job, L'Jarius Snead. But Jordan Love isn't a rookie anymore, and he's been pretty good. And he saw the guy, and he had time to throw, which is also part of one of the things that took place last night. Now let's talk about the refs. Yeah, they're bad.
Bad.
Refs are terrible.
Always.
The NFL refs are bad. They've been bad.
Relentlessly.
They are absolutely brutal.
Not going to change.
We know that. The NFL knows that. The refs themselves know that. That final minute was a lesson and an instructional video of what not to do. Patrick Mahomes was still in bounds. He was a runner. That was not a 15-yard penalty. MVS was being pulled backwards. That was not an extra timeout, that out of bounds. And it was one of the most clear and obvious pass interference calls we have ever seen. Had they called Rashee Rice down by contact, which he was, Pacheco doesn't throw a punch. Also, Pacheco, don't throw a punch. Don't throw a punch. Be smarter than that. Yeah, you're upset, you're frustrated. You know, the guy's tackling you, pushing you down. That happens.
I punched Dylan after that play, but I wasn't going to get ejected. There was no one else here.
That's right.
It would just be Dylan Covell.
They didn't see it.
Covell was on my side.
That's right.
And I know not to retaliate because it's always the second guy.
That's right. That is correct. I was hoping it was going to be offsetting. I was really hoping it would end up being offsetting. It was not. But that was a penalty, and it was the right call. He threw a punch, 15 yards, you're ejected. It's not smart. It's dumb. But the 3 calls that were made that were significant were all wrong. Every one of them was wrong. And that's just in the final minute. That's not even getting into the Michael Dana hands to the face or the Richie James being tackled on 3rd down.
Yep.
The drive before the interception, which I didn't even talk about. I was just talking about the Chiefs' own mistakes that they were making before, the refs had their hand in doing some of those things. And the MVS obvious defensive pass interference that the Chiefs should have been given the opportunity of 1st and goal at the 5. Would they have scored? I don't know. They had 1st and goal at the 5, their first drive of the game, and they did not score a touchdown. They had to kick a field goal. They would have had 4th and goal from like the 14 if they had that same exact possession. Okay. It doesn't mean they were automatically going to score. But they played and executed in a way that they deserved to have that opportunity. And the referees, because they felt like they got it wrong on the previous one with Patrick Mahomes, they swallowed the flag. That was a makeup call. The Rashee Rice pass interference was a makeup call because they didn't call the penalty with Richie James the drive before. The Rashee Rice pass interference was ticky-tack at best. I don't think it was catchable. They called pass interference. Hey, I'm good with it. Next play, interception. That sucks. But the Richie James play, he was tackled. That's a 1st down automatically, not a 3-and-out giving the ball back to the Packers. You're down by 2 points in that situation. You've got the ball. That's a terrible no call. But they made up for it by calling the Rashee Rice pass interference the next drive. It was a bad call on Patrick Mahomes when he was a runner. They, in their mind, made up for it by not calling pass interference. That is 100% what I believe in my heart. That if they didn't throw the flag on Patrick Mahomes, it would have been defensive pass interference, and there would have been 3 mother bleeping flags on that play that all flew in right around him. Like, yeah, that's the most obvious pass interference. He mugged the dude. But they felt bad because, guess what? They saw the replay. The crowd moaning. Referees don't just stare straight ahead when the replay's going on. They glance up. They saw he was still in bounds. And so that back judge was not going to throw, or whatever the guy is on the sideline, the back judge, the furthest one back in the middle, but whoever the sideline back judge is that, threw the flag for the late hit, he wasn't going to call pass interference. He wasn't going to call that. He had already helped out the Packers. He wasn't going to. help out, or he already helped out the Chiefs. He wasn't going to help out the Chiefs again. He was going to make it even. And the other guy's just standing there watching, with their thumb up their ass, or their whistle there, I'm not sure, or their flag non-existent, is brutal. The Chiefs should have had the opportunity for first and goal at the 5. They had plenty of self-induced mistakes throughout the way. And they also got a couple of calls that went their way. The Mahomes, the MVS, the Rashee Rice ticky-tack pass interference. That was a poorly officiated game. There are lots of poorly officiated games in the NFL. They have an issue. They know they have an issue. They just don't care because the NFL is inelastic.
Yep.
It does not matter what they do. They can put me, you, and Dylan out there officiating games. Like, this is so fast. I don't know what's going on. But, hey, what a great game we're watching right now because you got Mahomes and Kelsey, and look what Jordan Love is doing, and this Packers team is turning it on, and blah, 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 blah. But it was brutal. Chiefs, many ways, walk away from that game feeling like they should have won. In many ways, walk away from that game thinking the result was correct. No matter how they got there, the way they played, the result was probably correct. You can ask 10 people, and it might be 5-5. I tweeted out last night, I didn't agree with the Mahomes call. It was the most obvious pass interference. The refs are terrible. The Chiefs should have been given the opportunity to have first and goal at the 5. That said, Chiefs cost themselves this game. The refs did not grant the Packers a win. It was not a 9-point pass interference. They still would have had to score, get a 2-point conversion, and win in overtime. Oh, and also, if they scored quickly, they would have to then stop the Packers from getting a field goal, then win in overtime. That's a lot of things that have to happen that we would just assume would happen, that the refs, quote-unquote, gave the game to the Packers. Josh?
It's frustrating on 100 levels. I'll stick with the ref thing, and then we can go bigger picture again. But specifically to the point about the referees, I'm not saying that you should let your rage go or that you should stop hoping that it gets better, but we all should stop expecting it to get better.
That's exactly right. That's a great point.
Because it's not gonna. Yeah. Because the NFL has had many opportunities. I've been on this take for 5 years now, so I feel like I'm a broken record.
5.5.
But if you watch football on television, you have a clearer idea of what's happening every play than the referees who are putting the rules in place in real time. That's not the refs' fault, strictly speaking. They are human beings on ground level as everything is moving very fast around them, and we have HD, slow-mo, big screen replay every snap we need it. If the NFL wanted to, they couldn't fix everything, but they could vastly improve their refereeing product with a Sky Judge and a set of AirPods.
Exactly right.
This wireless earbuds have been out for a while. They've been making the mics work in those stadiums for quite a long time now.
The coaches have found a way to signal from the booth down to the sideline.
What a miracle. Impossible without, that quarterbacks have a speaker in their helmet that head coaches can use, and offensive coordinators can use to call in the plays. It's amazing. The NFL could have guardrails on their own refereeing that keep stuff like that from happening. Where, look, give the Sky ref a big yellow button where he can't throw a flag, but on the screen it'll just show flag. Okay, what happened there? Well, the ref in the Sky saw that defensive back put MVS in a chokehold at the 5-yard line, so he hit the flag button.
He was a backpack to MVS. MVS was carrying him to school.
Just give a Sky judge the same power that a ref on the field would have. It doesn't have to be overruling. You have get a tiny bit creative. We now have red orbs around likely blitzers on Thursday Night Football.
So
we can't let a ref from above determine how a play has ended. It would also expedite bad calls. Hey, no, his feet are in bounds. Pick it up.
He's a runner.
He's a runner there.
They got there and talked. All it would take is he's a runner, he was in bounds, and the head official going, he was a runner, he's in bounds, no call, we're picking up the flag. There's no flag for unnecessary roughness, late hit.
Subjective refereeing is hard too, right? Well, okay, with the ref in the booth, you know what they're going to have? More angles and more time to make a subjective decision. You don't have to slow the game down for that. It's happening bang, 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 bang because we're seeing it at home. All we have is the TV delay. Do it in the building. It is so we know the color commentators know what happens on a play and why the play happened that way before the ref has a chance to come out and say holding number 65. This shouldn't be this difficult, and the NFL has shown absolutely no interest in doing some easy things to help their people and to help the integrity of their sport. No one's watching for the refs. We would like to see the rules pretty much just agreed to, taken care of, not making an impact on the game unless there's a violation. You go, well, no, that's not. This is what the game is built for. This is what the rules are there for. And the NFL continues to not take any of those easy answers. It's really frustrating.
And to be like a devil's advocate and also subjective, so we're not just bashing the officiating in the process as well.
I will bash.
And I want to. But I wonder if the referee union or just that side is afraid of, if we go down the slippery slope of letting them do camera work to do all calls, then maybe it just becomes where there's no officials on the field at all, and we have all camera angles like a la baseball, and they just
or just have a couple umps, like just to set the ball and sure,
yeah,
fine.
So
fine.
Maybe that's what they're afraid of.
I'm okay with that. You can work from the booth. Congratulations. The same refereeing crew can do it. If the NFL wants to take gambling money, they should make sure that their product has integrity.
Sorry, officials, you'll have to find another part-time job.
Right. They're not even full-time employees.
Because they tried it. They tried to review pass interference, and all they did was you would see clear pass interference. Everyone would be in agreement, and they'd come back and say, nope, it's same.
Right.
Stands.
They had for a year pass interference being reviewed. So here's the thing, and I know last night...
But that's sending it to the old review system. We got to expedite some things.
And we got to take a break. I know that. There's just so much from the game to talk about. You know, we're not taking a break today. You weren't here on Monday when we talked about that, of what happened in Columbus last Monday when a guy almost got fired because of he was talking about the Michigan-Ohio State game, and it was in Columbus. He's like, I'm not taking a break. I just want to sit here and talk.
I did not see that story
PD came out, was like, you're taking a break. Then as he was still not taking a break, he said he was going to pay for all the ads and the breaks. Then he got an email from corporate that said, if you do not break, your show will be taken off the air. And they took a break. I'm not breaking today. There's too much stuff to talk about, damn it. We don't need pass interference to be reviewed. We just need people that are smart enough and good enough to get it right.
Yep.
Pass interference should be reviewed. No. Find somebody that knows what the hell they're doing.
And you use the technology to make that an easier decision.
Right. I'll even settle right now for the NBA review final 2 minutes, whatever, or college basketball final 2 minutes, whatever it might be. If in the NFL, it's like we can use a sky judge in the last 2 minutes. If that's what starts us down the process of at least them admitting there's a problem and there is a fixable solution to it, then let's do that. Because last night, the issue was the final minute. And if everybody that wants to talk about the Chiefs getting the calls and Chiefs getting benefits of the calls and us saying, yeah, but look what happened in the first and second quarter, and people go, yeah, but that's not as impactful as the fourth quarter and the last drive. Okay. So then the public audience is saying that final drive, that final few minutes of the game is the most impactful and important calls that an official will make all week. Then maybe in the final couple, 3 minutes of the game, the sky judge comes in and says, yeah, now I can overrule things on the field. I just have nope, that is a pass interference. Nope, that is he was in bounds. It may be difficult to keep the clock running with an EMVS because you're already stopping the clock, and by that time the Chiefs can get in the huddle and ready to go. That may not be one, because the Chiefs at that point can just go and run a play quickly if they stop the clock like that. But there are plenty of other things, and it may not even have to be, that wasn't a hold, that was a hold. But like things that seem pretty obvious that you can just
we can see from home before the next snap. Just that's all. That's all. If you can't figure it out before the next snap happens, tough. You missed it. Fine.
Yep. They already have the automatic review in the final couple minutes anyway. So they've already admitted that they're going to take it out of having a review and throw in the red flag process, that they are going to look at it themselves. Every turnover they've already said we're going to review. So they've now gotten to the point where we just let it play out. And then, well, it's hard to overturn. If they'd have called that down by contact on the field. Yeah, but they didn't. They called it a turnover so they can immediately go and look at it because they've admitted to themselves they can't get it right.
And my point is backing up your guys' point that it'll never change because they tried to barely change it, and they were so almost just anti making it work that it got killed after the first year of it being in place. So they tried to do just a minimal amount of technology to help them, and they almost self-sabotaged it to the point where it just got nixed.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will take your phone calls. Josh is going to pay for all the commercial advertising.
I'm looking at this story. This is crazy. I will not do that.
We skipped.
Let's take 3 breaks.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More so next. All right, 913-381-810. Josh and I gas bagged for long enough. He did it for 3 hours or whatever last night.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. People
I
can
did
talk.
it for 20 minutes. Let's hear from you. 913-381-810. We'll take your phone calls up till noon. So even though we might have a couple of shorties here, but we will continue taking your phone calls. If you're on hold, don't worry. We will get to you. James leads us off here on this Monday edition of the show as the Chiefs drop the game 27-19 to the Packers. James, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, how you doing this morning?
I am doing just fine. How are you, sir?
You know, as with them controversial ref calls, I mean, that's fine. But, you know, the Chiefs just did not deserve to win that game. I mean, that was the ugliest game I think I've seen in probably 6 or 7 years. I mean, that balloon that Love threw up in the air, I think it was like 4th and 2.
4th and 1, yeah.
And to come down right, I mean, it's like it was a balloon. And for them to allow that to be a long completed pass, it was sickening. And their offense, it's just not a well-oiled machine. And something's not right with it. I don't know if it's the change of offensive coordinator. Something, they're just not a well-oiled machine. How would you like to be Sky Moore's agent? They got to be having some conversations, you got to put some numbers on the board. You're going to be coming up wanting a raise here before too long, and what's the problem? And all we heard last year was, well, he's a rookie, he's learning the system, just wait till next season. And he's just, and I don't know if it's his fault. I mean, is he that bad?
I don't know that it was his fault on that play. And it looked like he stopped running, and Mitchell Schwartz tweeted about it and it's like, when you got a receiver that stops running. Chase Daniel was on the Border Patrol this morning, and I thought it was really interesting, and he talked about that exact play. And he said, when the slot corner is not in press coverage, you expect him to not get rubbed by the outside receiver, so he's going to go over the top. And he said that's a play that you would have practiced 1,000 times. When the cornerback is over the top, it's a back shoulder throw. He said, I think Sky Moore was slowing down expecting back shoulder, and then he looked up and saw that Mahomes threw it over the top. He said if the slot corner is in press and goes underneath Rashee Rice, it's an over-the-top throw. If he's over the top, it's back shoulder. And he said they probably practiced that thing 1,000 times, and Sky Moore was expecting back shoulder. And Patrick Mahomes even said after the game that, I should have thrown back shoulder where the cornerback was. Some of that you think, is that just him being magnanimous, him just saying, well, I'll take the blame for it, not to blame somebody else. Chase Daniel this morning, who's played in this offense, by the way, said that, that's a back shoulder throw, the way the cornerback was. And that's part of Mahomes and the receiver not being on the same page. It felt like that specific one was maybe Mahomes not on the same page where the ball should have gone based on where the cornerback was and how they played it. That's just one particular play, though, of of a microcosm, James, of what the season has been.
Yeah, that was one play. But, you watch these other games, and there's 3 or 4 passing plays, regardless of the team, 20, 25, 30 yards, and the receiver is there, and there's not a defender within 5 or 6 yards, and that happens 4 or 5 times, 3 or 4 or 5 times a game with every other team except the Chiefs. Their long passing game beyond 10 yards seem to just be gone. I mean, they'll try it a couple of times to MVS, and then it's just, I don't know what the problem is, but it's painful to watch.
James, I appreciate the phone call, man. 913-381-810. I know we got a couple short segments here. Again, we will get to your phone calls and give you ample time to weigh in on your opinions of if you've been holding, certainly. Because I know we need to take a break right now and then a short segment there. And 11 o'clock, we'll have a wider segment there. But you know what the 4th and 1 completion felt like? And everybody that's a college basketball fan knows this. You're in a back-and-forth game, and you're against a team that you feel like you should be winning, and you're struggling, and it's the end of shot clock. You played an awesome possession, and they take the ball, and they fire it up, and it banks in.
From the shoulder. Shot from the shoulder.
From the 3, banks in, and you go, probably not your night.
Yeah.
It's probably not your night. Maybe you're part of somebody else's story tonight. Yeah. And that's what that 4th and 1 felt like. When that thing just fell into his arms and there were 3 Chiefs receivers, that almost felt like everybody was looking at the other one like, are you going to make a play? Are you going to make a play? Even though that when you watch replay, it didn't end up being that. But at the time, it looked like Reed was like, Edwards, are you getting it? Edwards looking at it. Cochran, are you guys getting it? What do you?
L'Jarius Sneed straight up has his arm out. One of his arms just literally pointing like, hello?
When that ball was in the air, when that ball was in the air, I said, don't intercept it.
Yeah, just knock it down.
Yeah, just knock it down. Don't intercept it. And then when he caught it, I'm like, intercept it. do anything but just let him catch it.
They did not intercept it.
That felt like a banked-in three-pointer at the end of the shot clock against a team that you felt like was pulling teeth throughout the game, and you had an opportunity to get a big stop, get the ball back, whatever, continue your run, and then it's like, really? And then they get a touchdown out of that. And that's 7 points. That was a 7-point play is what it was. Yeah. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue with your phone calls. More Zone next. I'm not going to sneak in a phone call because you guys have been waiting, and I don't think you want to just jump on and spend 20 seconds. We'll give you your full allotted time to weigh in and voice your excitement, frustration, concerns, refunds.
We cannot provide those.
Whatever that might be. Yes, we'll also get into some texts that have been coming in, 913-912-4810. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up in the noon hour. Field Yates joins us coming up at noon. Our NFL insider from ESPN. We'll get his thoughts on the rest of the NFL. 49ers looking like a runaway freight train right now, what they did to the Eagles. Chiefs are the 4 seed right now. Best team in the AFC. We'll talk about some of those things with Field Yates coming up at noon.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. 913-3810810 is the phone number. Let's bring in Rev, who has been waiting patiently. Those that have been waiting patiently, we'll get to your phone calls. Rev, the floor is yours. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate you, man. Appreciate you guys. I just want to say, it's a whole lot on my mind,
Yeah,
but
go
I don't
ahead.
have time to really, really say it all, But I just want to say that offense, I'm not going to try to prophesy anything because we don't know what the outcomes would be, but I think a lot of people was wanting Eric Bieniemy out of here, so they was talking about him getting another job, but I thought he held that offense, the guys and everybody responsible for what they did out on the field and off the field. He kind of got up in their face and stuff, and people was kind of tired of him. But I think that's one of the problems with the offense. And Andy Reid, I think he kind of let Patrick go on certain things. And a lot of times people talk about Patrick. When they talk about Patrick, it's like people get mad at you, and you want to give him a pass, but Patrick hasn't been playing as well. He kind of throws an interception in almost every game, sometimes two. And it's not. I don't think it's all on the wide receivers. So I think they just need to get that thing together. And I hear a lot of people say about the officiating. We don't want to blame the refs and everything, but man, you got to kind of change that. I think on certain calls, man, they can make the outcome of the game, crucial. So I'll listen up there and see what you got to say.
Rev, I appreciate the phone call, man. I appreciate you holding as well. I do think there's something to the Eric Bieniemy thing, and we talked about it over the summer. That when the news came out of Washington during training camp of the players complaining about how Eric Bieniemy was coaching them, that was something that we discussed and said, yeah, that to me is a part of what could be missing from this team. We didn't know what the offense would look like, but what could be missing if the offense struggles or things like that there is somebody who holds people to a certain standard that maybe they don't think they're good enough to be held to. And that was what was going on in Washington with some of the offensive players. I don't know if that is lacking now. I don't know the personality of Matt Nagy and the relationship with Matt Nagy and some of the other players, but I haven't seen a blow-up with a coach and a player on the sideline the way that we saw every year with Eric Bieniemy, whether that be with Travis Kelce or whoever. And then, no, that's my guy. I love him. There are things that we're not doing that he is demanding of us. And yeah, I know this or I know that, and I realize that this was a mistake. I don't need him then telling me that. And so they go back and forth. But it also was Eric Bieniemy going, yeah, if you know it, then bleeping do it. Right. If you know it. So next time, get it done. Whereas, hey, you know it. You got this, man. You know what you're supposed to be doing out there. Yeah, I know. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. I don't know what that relationship is, but I think it would be foolish to dismiss it and act like Eric Bieniemy not being around is no big deal, and this offense looks like this and has nothing to do with someone who the many players credited with the fine details of making sure that people were in the exact spot they were supposed to be, and so detail-oriented when you say, boy, Mahomes and the wide receivers have just not been on the same page this year.
And this isn't the be-all, end-all, but I do think it's at the very least fair. You have an offense with a new offensive coordinator from last year, a first-year positional coach at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. They've all been on the staff, but it's their first year in each of those roles as positional coaches in those spots. If you had all of that on Team X that didn't have Andy Reid, you'd be going, man, growing pains, regression, all of those things. Why are the receivers either worse or not getting better? Why has the quarterback not gotten on the same page with these receivers, et cetera, et cetera? Why does the offense lack a little bit of juice? Why is this the least explosive version of the offense we've seen in a very long time? Those are all things that you would freely ask if you did not have an overabundance of faith in the head man offensively in terms of the coaching tree. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how anyone could be beyond reproach at this point, including all of those positional coaches and Nagy.
Let's hear from Andy Reid on they got to take care of this stuff, self-destruction, et cetera. They just have to take care of those things. Here's Andy Reid weighing in on the issues offensively, the self-inflicted wounds, the things that keep, coming up and biting the Chiefs.
Yeah, listen, I mean, they made plays. I mean, they used the clock. They were letting it run down to that 5 seconds and below, and they were getting first down. So that becomes a problem. You got to get off the field on defense. You got to stay on the field on offense and not shoot ourselves. And that's my responsibility. I mean, for that. So we've got to be better prepared to take care of that stuff right there. And you do that, and then you can win a game. But in this league, there's too much parity, and you come out and they're well coached. They got good players. You come out and self-destruct like that in certain areas, and then you have a problem.
They got to take care of that stuff. They'll figure it out.
What week is it?
1.
What year is it?
2022?
Is it February 2nd? Are Sonny and Cher playing before every game?
They are not.
Oh!
No. They are not. 913-381-1010. Let's bring in Travis next up here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Travis, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call.
Absolutely.
Love the show. JB, you talked a minute ago about the refs and how we just need to expect quit being frustrated, basically, and it's not going to be a fix, right? I feel the same way about this offense. I'm done being frustrated with it. It's not going to get fixed, not during the season. I mean, like you just kind of alluded to it, Jason. I mean, like we're in week 12, week 11, something like that. Like, I mean, it is what it is. It's I have 2 questions for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is, so last night we watched a Packers-led team by Jordan Love with young rookie receivers, year 2 guys, and they should look like they were all on the same page against what many believe to be a top 5 defense in the league. Why do we have Andy Reid and what I believe to be the best quarterback I've ever seen play the game can't get on the same page with his receivers? These things, to me, they just don't add up. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's a scheme thing. I will say when Matt Nagy went to Chicago, and I'm not saying this is Nagy's fault. I'm not saying it's a Nagy issue. I'm just pointing out a fact that I watched a little bit of Chicago football when he went there just because I was a fan of Trubisky when he came out, and I was anxious to see the difference between him and Mahomes. This offense looks a lot like that offense did. It looks confused. It doesn't look like it understands where it's supposed to go, what it's supposed to do. When we got the ball back in the fourth quarter, for the first time ever, I had zero faith that they were going to that they even had enough time with a minute to go to dink and dunk their way down the field, let alone get a touchdown and then score 2, based on what we saw earlier in the game. This offense has taken such a regression this year that I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised. And you know, Pat took another bullet last night in the post game, talking about the MVS ball. Like, I should have just thrown it to a different spot. Like, at what point is he just beyond frustrated to where he's going to stop taking bullets? I mean, Andy Reid talks about this is my responsibility. I get it. You're Andy Reid. We love you. But when does the accountability start, if that's the case? I mean, and these are just some of the questions I have. I know I'm not saying this is not a fire Andy Reid, fire Matt Nagy comment, but there needs to be some accountability, and it just kind of feels like right now there isn't any. And I think that's part of the problem. So I'll listen to your comments. Thanks for taking my call.
Travis, I appreciate it. And it's an interesting point because it's the accountability is Andy Reid saying it's on me. I got to get it fixed. We got to figure these things out. Nobody really believes Patrick Mahomes when he says, well, yeah, I got to do this or I got to do that with the wide receiver. It's almost always the wide receiver has messed up. Mm-hmm. I left last night's game thinking, why did Sky Moore stop his route? What the hell was going on? Why would he do that? I also really want to know if that was an RPO. Because if you watch that play again, my God, the middle of the field was wide open, and you've got a pulling guard. I think Trey Smith is pulling, and nobody's doing like a full drop in their set except for Juwan Taylor is the only one. Everybody else is sort of at the line of scrimmage. If that's just a straight drop back, typically the offensive lineman will take a few steps back to get in their pass set. They were at the line of scrimmage. If that was an RPO, my God, hand it off. Yeah. Give the ball, especially if the slot corner is playing off of Sky Moore, where you would look at it and go, hey, they're pressing. This is going to work. This wheel route, it's going to work. I'm going to hit him over the top. We're going to get a big gainer here, because it looked like it. But if it wasn't an RPO, then it wasn't an RPO. But if it was, that kind of goes back to when Mahomes has been saying, yeah, I got to trust the run more. When I was younger, I was always wanting to pass it, and now I'm willing to hand it off. I don't know. If that was one that was a handoff, an RPO, then the correct read would have been just giving it to Pacheco and letting him follow, one of his blockers through the hole with a pretty decent gap there to run through.
I thought Mitch Schwartz had a specific tweet about this. Maybe it was in a response. I'll have to find, because Mahomes talked about even after the game, like checking to that, and then the DB talks about having seen the call, the check to it,
touching
and knowing
his
exactly what was coming. And I thought it was Mitch Schwartz, maybe just a reply or something. And if he deleted it, and I'm paraphrasing him after the fact. Oh no, here it was. It was a response to Matt Derrick. Is what this tweet, where him talking about again. So Matt says, it's probably worth having the discussion about if Mahomes should have given the ball to Pacheco on the RPO there, the way Pacheco was running. And then Mitchell Schwartz responds with, he changed to it, gave the wide receivers a signal. The DB said after the game that he knew they were running it based on that. This part really, really grinds my gears. On first view, it felt like Pat took forever giving them the signal, and I wonder if there was a trust issue there, and having to belabor the signal helped Green Bay diagnose. I wonder if there was a trust issue that made Patrick Mahomes belabor the signal that helped Green Bay diagnose. That makes me want to barf. That makes me sick to my stomach.
So was he saying it was not an RPO, that they checked to its a specific pass at that point, or did he check to what would have been an RPO? He checked to that because he got the look he wanted to throw it.
I think he's saying he checked to that because he got the look that they wanted to throw it. 'Cause I think, and then Sky Moore also said after the game that he got a check at the line. They were in a pretty good look. And then he made a good play on the interception, et cetera. So I think that there was a run option initially. Ugh. And then Mahomes checked to that pass based on the look they were getting. But I am mostly quoting Mitchell Schwartz as directly as possible, because his level of proper vernacular there would outrank mine.
The point that Travis makes about the Green Bay offense,
it really also makes
watching
me want to barf.
what they did last night, it's a huge indictment on the Chiefs offense. Yeah, because we can talk about revamping the wide receiver core for this Chiefs. Brett Veach, what he's done with the wide receivers on this team is limiting what Patrick Mahomes can do. Brett Veach is the problem. Look what he's done to Patrick Mahomes. He's turned Patrick Mahomes into just a regular quarterback with an 80 quarterback rating. Jordan Love's out here, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 120 quarterback rating in the game against a better defense. The Chiefs' defense is almost universally would be agreed upon that it's a better defense than the Packers. Absolutely. This is not what we've talked about before, where that Buffalo game where it was Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round, and it was back and forth, and it's like, yeah, but the Chiefs' defense was middle of the pack. The Buffalo defense was number 1 ranked coming into that game. It was not the same. Okay, well, it was not the same last night. They were not playing with Jair Alexander, the Packers. They did not have one of the best cornerbacks in the league, one of the highest paid cornerbacks in the league. They did not have that guy out there. And the Green Bay offense did not have Luke Musgrave, their tight end, and they did not have Aaron Jones. They just simply had A.J. Dillon, who they pounded the rock to him, picks up 73 yards in the game, 4.1 yards per carry, and that first drive was a lot of A.J. Dillon, A.J. Dillon, A.J. Dillon, A.J. Dillon, and it was very frustrating, and it was a body blow the whole time down the field. But the indictment is you're going up against an offense in Green Bay whose wide receivers are 2 second-rounders, a 4th-rounder, a 5th-rounder, an undrafted free agent.
And young ones as well. I mean, recent draftees.
Absolutely. Watson's a 2nd-rounder. Jaden Reed's a 2nd-rounder. Romeo Doubs is a 4th-rounder. Wicks is a 5th-rounder. And Heath is undrafted. Those are the 5 guys that were running routes. And they did not have their higher drafted tight end.
That's 3 rookies and 2 second-year players.
Yeah. And Jordan Love has, 260-something yards and 3 touchdowns, and he was completing passes against a better defense. Why? Was it that it was a simpler offense? Was there something that they were doing schematic-wise that was, making it easier for guys to just be in the right place? Is Andy Reid's offense too difficult for these young guys? Do they identify better receivers that can get used to the offense earlier? Is it because it's based on the run and the Chiefs were having trouble stopping the run? So therefore, the Spags had to adjust, which made it easier and more space for the receivers for the Packers to get open and make plays. Watson made a phenomenal play on the touchdown. Romeo Doubs caught 2 passes that he was wide open, and one of them fell into his lap, quite literally, and the other one, nobody was within 15 yards of him. I mean, that was 60 of his 72 yards that he had last night. He had 4 catches, 72. 2 of them for 60-something on those 2 plays. 2nd and 16 when L'Jarius Sneed let him go, and the 4th and 1 when it was the 30-yard fall down and the ball falls in his belly.
You said something that returns to my general Chiefs wide receiver nausea that crossed my mind at one point last night. 2 weeks ago, it was like, oh, maybe they'll simplify some things for the young wide receivers, during the bye week. And then after the bye week, Andy Reid was like, told Diana Rossini, I guess, hey, you know what? We might start thinking about simplifying the offense some. I'm nitpicking. No, I'm not nitpicking. I might be bullying a player who we've talked about plenty and having this exact problem. But if part of the offensive plan is, hey, let's take options off the table for these receivers. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to run this line to this spot. Don't do anything else. Just when Mahomes is going to say, do this thing, you get to this spot, he's going to put the football there. I'm not sure I understand. Neither do I, Apple Watch. Perfect. Neither do I. Because, hey, Sky Moore, if you are getting just be quick and fast and just get to this spot and make it happen quickly, even if you are expecting it to be on the back shoulder, which I think is feasible. I think the Chase Daniel thing is really interesting. But get to your spot!
Yeah.
That was not all right, Sky, go real hard off the line and then just start looking for some space. No. That ball was out because Mahomes knew where Sky Moore needed to go.
Yeah.
That is a one-option route for him until the play breaks down or extends or whatever. But to that point, it's get to that spot. If that's a simplifier, and then you're still asking longtime NFL veteran Marquez Valdez-Scantling to just not run towards the safety, if you can't clear those bars, again, I've never gotten any pleasure out of being this guy should get cut tomorrow and play anybody else. Because, hey, you bench or cut or trade MVS or Sky Moore in this moment. Obviously, can't trade them. You're playing Justin Watson, Richie James more. It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
But it's not a fix. It's not a solution. I guess it's worth trying. Richie James, I was hoping to find his average depth of target. Oh, I found it. What do you think Rashee Rice's average depth of target was against the Packers, according to Pro Football Reference?
9 targets for Rashee Rice. I would say
9 targets, 8 receptions, 64 yards.
1.5 yards or something.
1 point nothing.
Oh. 1.0.
Rashee Rice's average depth of target against the Packers, the best wide receiver on the team, who last week in a breakout game had an average depth of target of 4.3 yards, where a couple of those plays were tremendous, by the way. Great wide receiver playing by this NFL wide receiver. His average depth of target last night was a yard downfield because it was all horizontal. I don't know who plays wide receiver on this team. You've got some gadget guys, and Rashee Rice has been a great yak player, and I remain bullish and optimistic about his future whenever he is allowed to play real wide receiver and run real routes. And he's gotten plenty of snaps. Maybe he's not getting open when he runs real routes, and this is just how the Chiefs are going to do it. But, man, it just feels like bubble gum and rubber bands and toothpicks at this point, and that's a horrible thing to say about a Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes.
Well, when you've got Justin Watson that plays 40 snaps and Noah Gray that plays 24, there's 64 snaps. And Sky Moore that plays 44. There's 108 snaps. And those guys combined for 3 targets in the game. 108 snaps, 3 targets. What are they doing out there?
I don't know.
Honestly, what are they doing?
I don't know.
Richie James played 4 snaps and got 2 targets.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see, and this is not because I liked the signing of Richie James and all of that stuff.
No, I'm ready to.
It has not turned out anywhere near what I was hoping or thinking that it could. But I'm ready to see Richie James in that role. Oh, he didn't know much of the offense. Well, Sky Moore knows all of the offense, apparently, but all of the offense is one catch, 5 yards. And the worst out of the everyday wide receivers, the worst quarterback rating for Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
This was a stat we brought up last week, and it was with Adam Teicher.
And now it's worse.
I don't even know what it is now. But I want to find the actual numbers.
I think I can give you the same.
Because I looked it up, and I looked at all of the different receivers just to see what, the different players were and what the ranking was. So here we go. Rashee Rice going into this game, Mahomes had a 129.3 quarterback rating when targeting Rashee Rice. He had a 111.8 to Travis Kelce and a 101.2 to Noah Gray. After that, 83.7 to MVS, 82.4 to Kadarius Toney, 78 to Justin Watson, and a 67 to Sky Moore. Yet Sky Moore's playing the most snaps on this team.
Last night, his passer rating targeting Sky Moore was 16.7.
Well, yeah, he had 2 targets, 1 reception, 5 yards, and an interception.
Sorry, what was the total number for Sky again before last night?
67.4.
Okay, it is now 52.1, according to Pro Football Reference.
Yeah, having those 2 targets, 1 ends up as an interception. Whether that was Sky Moore's fault or not, it's still the wrong page. Yeah. They're on a different page. Sometimes it doesn't feel like they're reading the same book.
Oh, did you hear my little mashup, my petty little mashup that's in the folder for today?
I haven't. I heard it, actually. Yes, I have heard it. We haven't played it yet. But yes, I heard the mashup, the same page.
I can't tell if I'm being a baby or if I'm dead on, but I'm really annoyed either way.
Yeah, because it's from the last couple of games of the 2 of the last 3, not the Raiders game, the Philadelphia game, and the Green Bay game. Like, Kadarius Toney plays 12 snaps, no targets. Richie James plays 4 snaps, 2 targets. Justin Watson plays 40 snaps, no targets. Like,
how does that one happen?
What is it you say you do here? Like what is your role on this team?
Well, Justin Watson does a lot. I was going to be sarcastic. I'm going to be earnest, actually, instead, because I don't want it to get lost in the sarcasm. I think there is real truth that, hey, Justin Watson does a lot of stuff that impacts the gravity elsewhere. It really benefits the offense.
Great.
The issue is that usually that is summarized by saying he helps get other guys open.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
That's not happening, so who cares?
But
no one's ever open.
He's helping getting other guys open by never getting the ball.
He's never getting the ball, and no one's paying that much attention to him. Like, it's just, he's out there for sure. You're going to put a human being on him for sure. It's not an Air Bud situation.
I mean, but it could be.
Sky Moore might be.
It could be. One other thing, and we'll get in one more phone call before we take a break. It's fun to talk about the Mahomes and Kelce relationship when, he was getting targeted 12, 13, 14 times a game, and he was running the different option routes, and Mahomes was knowing where he was, and they were on the same page, and all of that stuff. It's like, wow, this is crazy. He's just sort of knowing where why aren't they guarding him? Well, they are guarding him. He's just seeing what the defense is doing and adjusting from that. And Mahomes is reading it the same way, et cetera. The Bears touchdown was so fun coming out. I knew he was going to do that before he did it, and it's a touchdown. He probably would have scored the other way, but I knew that was there, and I was throwing it right as he was making his cut because we were on the that's fun. But I wonder if Travis Kelce running his weaving and trying to find where the spot is, if Mahomes is in the pocket staring at Kelce to see what he's going to do and waiting for Kelce to figure out what his route is going to be, instead of knowing, I know exactly what his route is, I know what the defense is doing, I got to come off that and go somewhere else. I'm staring at him in the pocket, staring. Oh, that's not open. Now I got pressure. Now I got to go somewhere else. Well, these guys weren't open over there. Nobody's getting open. Well, maybe other guys were. Again, I don't know if that's the case or not. But I know there's a number of times where you can see Patrick staring at Kelce while he's, doing his option routes. And at that point, it's like, was Green Bay able to run a more efficient offense against a much tougher defense because their guys were just simply running their routes? And he was able to read the defense and find the open guys and know that this route is doing that route's doing that. So if this linebacker comes down there and if the safety goes over there, I know I've got this guy on the hook on that side. I know that I got the shallow cross over there. I know I got the deep hitch that way. I know I got the cover 2. I can hit it right in the middle on down the sideline. Or I'm watching Luke Musgrave, who didn't play, and he's going to run his route, and the Chiefs are, nope, here comes the blitz, and now I got pressure. I don't know if that's the case. It's awesome that they do have that sort of ability, that it's not just a line on a paper. But is that impacting other guys to where it becomes a net negative when Kelsey gets 5 targets, and how many times Mahomes was staring at Kelsey to see and waiting for him to get open, and you only target him 5 times?
And that can all be in the same bucket of who else has earned Patrick Mahomes' attention at this point. And it's all frustrating because it's all connected, and all of the answers are pretty dark.
Agreed. We'll bring in Scott next on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Scott, go right ahead. Thank you for waiting, sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jason, as always, MIZ.
And ZOU to you, sir.
And with that being said, last night's screw job by the refs probably isn't even in the top 100 times of getting hosed by the refs in my fandom in my 48 years. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But it still is like NFL refs have so entirely too much power for being part-time employees. I mean, like the phantom hold, and I say phantom, it was technically a hold, but it wasn't really. When you look at it on Humphrey, I mean, that took 4 points off the board. We had a 1st and goal at the 2.
Yeah.
It were not for that. When you juxtapose that with Mike Dana damn near getting his helmet ripped off on the 4th and 1 conversion, and that wasn't even counting, the PIs that we talked about. But the real reason I'm calling, and I want to get your guys' opinion, is I've seen a lot of people on social media basically say that the Packers got screwed on that Mahomes hit, and technically he was in bounds, but that should be a penalty 100 times out of 100 on an NFL quarterback, especially when you're looking at it from the fact that this guy is the face of the NFL. And, Clark Hunt has $500 million tied up, not to mention State Farm and, all the other products that he's out there hawking. Like, he doesn't need to be getting rammed into the sideline by some league minimum goon who's going to be, sacking groceries in 3 years. I mean, I'm sorry. That's a penalty, and was he technically on the line? Whatever. You should be expecting, if you're going to hit the star of the league that hard, that close to the chalk, I don't care where it was a completely unnecessary hit. Mahomes was running out of bounds. He was not turned up getting for more yards. He's just trying to get to the sideline, get across for the first down. With 40 seconds left or whatever, you knew he was trying to get out of bounds. Just make sure he doesn't turn upfield. It just, I don't know. The same rules for everybody thing just doesn't fly with me. I mean, we have so many rules protecting quarterbacks in the pocket. That's almost more of a dangerous play. I mean, look what happened to Drew Bledsoe on the sideline. And granted, which actually that's a good thing to bring up because we're not for that hit, we might not have ever had Tom Brady. And could you imagine that if, Ben Neiman would have hit Tom Brady that hard on the sideline? I mean, he would have been kicked out of the league. Well, I mean, he probably should have been considering his effectiveness. But, I mean, like, that's so silly. And, I don't know. That's my rant on the refs. I mean, we should have played better. But, there were 3 or 4 really crucial 50-50 calls, none of which went our way in the first half and early second half that really dictated the flow of the game. And then it came down to, a pretty darn egregious call with 30 seconds left. But, that's what happens. It's exactly like what you said, Jason, about, that's Norfolk State banking in a 3 at the end of the shot clock when you should be blowing them out by 20 points, but you've let them hang around, and all of a sudden you're living in infamy for the next 20 years on the intro to the NCAA tournament every year.
Thanks for bringing up thanks for bringing up the exact thing that was in my mind when I said the
I knew exactly what you were thinking about.
Top of the key.
So.
Banking it in.
Yes.
Oh, ridiculous.
Yes. So,
Scott,
anyway,
I appreciate the phone call,
guys.
man. Absolutely. 913-381-1010. I'll say there's a lot of things I agree with that Scott brought up there about the refs, except for the Mahomes thing. I disagree with it. I understand where he's coming from in protecting the quarterback. But if Mahomes didn't want to take that hit, he could have gone out of bounds a yard short of the first down marker. He wanted the first down. And to get the first down, he made a decision. And that decision was for this extra yard, I might get hit pretty hard. If I don't want to get hit, I gain 9 yards and I get out of bounds. You can't expect a defensive player to go and just let the quarterback go as he's close to the sideline, because then the quarterbacks start to take advantage and then turn up the sideline. I think what a defensive player has to do is angle to the sideline with the quarterback and run through it. And if that quarterback gets to the sideline first, you don't hit him.
Right.
Because you're already going at a certain angle. And if that quarterback wants to turn up, you're going right into him shoulder first. And if that quarterback wants to try to angle there and stay on his same angle that you're going to hit him in bounds, you hit him in bounds. Because I'll say this, if Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Trevor Lawrence is running to the sideline and Willie Gay is chasing him and that guy's not out of bounds and he's trying to get the first down, I want Willie Gay to put a shoulder into that guy to make sure next time he's going to go short of the first down marker and not take on that hit head on. It's a choice Patrick Mahomes made, and in the moment, I think Mahomes makes that choice every single time.
Yeah.
He might have misjudged how quickly the defender was closing in because he's always said, I'm fast enough. Well, to get to the first down marker and get out of bounds, he wasn't fast enough that time to not take the hit. He did get the first down, though.
Part of that is the violence of the hit. It is a big hit, and you go, whoa, that seems... I completely agree. If he's jogging for 3 yards on 1st and 10, he runs out of bounds, picks up 3 yards, he gets blown up like that, throw the flag. Go ahead. Like that, because that is unnecessary.
Yeah, it's completely different than what happened against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game and what happened last night. Those are vastly, that's 2 or 3 steps that Mahomes took.
And really, even if your toes have the little bit of grass between both feet in the sideline, as he did last night, but again, it's on the your own 35-yard line, and now it's 2nd and 7. Defender, put your hand up and just stiff arm him out of bounds, whatever. There's no need to deliver that hit there. But you're trying to make a hit at the point of contact at the first down marker. I want to let defenders play defense there, and if Mahomes wants to get the penalty, then step out short and bait the defender or whatever if you want. So I tend to be on the same side there.
Yeah, and imagine if the defender goes and starts to slow up and then Mahomes turns it up.
Yeah,
it's like, that shouldn't be something the defender has to worry about. He's in bounds, hit him.
And maybe the defenders are gonna start putting their arms out when they run through, just like to show no block in the back on special teams.
Right.
And that's fine. Do that. You can set a body screen of some sort and try to run them out. But that was 2 football players running to the same spot on the field very fast.
Yeah.
That usually results in a collision, and Mahomes knows that.
It's like those angle tackling drills that we used to do back in the day that I don't know if they do anymore.
I wonder.
You just have 15 yards of space and put a cone there, and you just run there, one guy with the ball, and you just meet and tackle. I'm not sure if they do that anymore.
I bet they probably don't.
But I know the one time that I think I got a concussion that I had to sit out the rest of practice because I was the world was spinning. Was on one of those where I went up against a pretty decent ball carrier, and it may not have been Drew Tranquil, but there was a leg to the side of the head that I don't remember much after that. And it was that drill. I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. This isn't fun.
At least you got to the spot. I mean, getting concussed is only the second most embarrassing thing that can happen there. So,
wide receiver, what am I doing here? You're never gonna have me play defense.
I'm
ever.
going to be Ted Ginn. I am stepping out of bounds. These hits are not relevant to me.
There aren't enough injuries on this team to where you would ever put me in on defense. What am I doing here? We'll take a timeout. More Zone next.
Wanye Morris is the left tackle on 3rd and 18. Mahomes is escaping and throws on the run, complete to Kelsey to the 35. And how about that little dance, almost hang time from Mahomes to not cross the line of scrimmage.
There it is, Mike. That's what he does, and this protection was perfect. They go 3-man rush to try and protect. But watch as he steps up. These linebackers take just a little step forward, and that's it. That's the way he does it. He doesn't fool around and scramble sideways. He scrambles right at your defense, forces a reaction, takes advantage of your reaction.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Field Yates coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. Andy Reid around 12:30 or so, his weekly press conference. Let's bring in Northland Joe to the conversation here, waiting patiently to join. Joe, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, thank you first for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I know this will go against totally Andy Reid's nature, but maybe the offense just needs to be simplified a little bit. These receivers just might not be able to pick up the complex ideas that he's passing on. I don't really know the stats, but it seems that Patrick's kind of going to the underneath, and maybe we need to start trying to take the top off of the defense. Take some shots down the field. Yes, there's going to be some interceptions, probably more. I don't want Andy to protect Mahomes' stats by saying, okay, if he throws 2 or 3 interceptions, that's a bad thing. It might be a better thing if he can get some receivers down the field, and that might open up a little bit more underneath as well. The problem is, and I don't know if this is true or not, but is if Andy doesn't have any faith in his tackles to hold the pocket long enough for Mahomes to get the ball down the field. What do you guys think?
Joe, I appreciate the phone call. There's a couple of things there. Simplifying the offense, I'm all for it if that's going to work. If they simplified the offense against the Raiders of, hey, we just want guys to not think as much, the report that Diana Rossini had on Sunday before the Chiefs played the Raiders, hey, this is something that Andy Reid has talked about. They looked at it in the break, even during the Eagles game, whatever. But when they went back and self-scouted, they wanted to put guys in position to make plays and have them have to think less. Seems like it's simplifying the offense. Is that what happened against the Raiders? Maybe. Is that not happening this go around? I don't know. Taking some shots deep. I mean, they've taken some shots deep. They just haven't connected, and I think that's the issue. Is that they are looking to take the top off the defense. Mahomes and the receivers that he is throwing to are not in the spot that he is throwing the football. Whether that be MVS or Justin Watson. Those are the two guys that they're using to take the top off the defense. Neither of those guys are reading the safeties the same way that Patrick Mahomes is reading the safeties. And there are a number of plays to where they had the play, the receiver won, but how the safety played it was read differently than Mahomes and the receiver, and it's just an incomplete pass. And you go on to the next down, and it goes into the books as an incomplete. You have no idea that could have been a long gainer. You have no idea that pass to MVS down 21-19 in the fourth quarter, right before Richie James got tackled for no call. In the fourth quarter, they could have had the ball 1st and 10 at the Packers' 40-yard line, down by 2, if MVS keeps it on the outside, if he doesn't start to curl it to the inside and then see the balls going the other way. I mean, is that simplifying the offense? But it's also taking shots down the field.
It's right. It's doing both of those things, and it's another reason it's so bleeping frustrating because those opportunities have been there, and Mahomes frequently has put the ball where it needed to be, and it still hasn't been completed. And it's not like God, I know this isn't going to make you feel great, but if that's Quentin Johnston, you go, well, he's a rookie. Like, there's at least there's moving parts. That's your highest paid wide receiver, man. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's brutal.
Let's bring in Chris to the conversation, 913-381-1010. Chris, go right ahead. What's on your mind, sir? Chris has been waiting a while, so maybe he's got us on mute.
Give Chris a second.
Yes, Chris.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good, man. I figured as much. You've been waiting a while. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I enjoyed the show, man.
Thank you.
My comment is, I got 2 comments, one about the officials, but first of all, the wide receiver room, it just seems like it's just more than just simplifying the offense, man. Like, MVS been there for, 2 seasons. So, to me, I just feel like he's been the veteran that's been in that room. So, my thing is that they lack leadership in that room altogether. I mean, I know some coaches have left, but it just seems that the room is lacking leadership. These guys are just guys. They're not a team. Because I remember when Tyreek Hill was in the room, I mean, he was the guy. He took everything on his shoulders to make sure his guys was in order. So that being said, I'll let you guys comment on that. But also as far as the officials, you guys made a comment about the officials making calls in real time. I feel like, I feel like defenders are on the field making plays, and hitting guys in locations, and they're getting fines, for making a play that, just being athletes, So these officials got to be held to a higher standard, So I don't understand why they can't get fined for just making calls unjust calls like that. I mean, I'll get off the phone line and let you guys comment on that.
Chris, I think that's an excellent point, man. I absolutely agree with that. That when you say, well, the game is so fast that it's hard to officiate, yeah, but they also expect a defender with a guy running at them who's diving or falling and hit by somebody else, and then they're diving and they've got a little window to hit, but then that guy's moving at 20 miles an hour, and they've got to do that. That's fast. And if they don't do it right, they're fined. They give up a game. They play that game for free, depending on how big the fine is. But the officials, my bad, it was very fast. It's such a fast game. How could I get that right?
They don't even cop to it being a mistake when they have to talk about it after the game.
Oh, my God.
I mean, again, and I appreciate that point, because it's a hard job does not mean that this is as good as it can get.
Absolutely.
And I do not know what it would take for a referee to admit a simple mistake.
Yeah, and the point that was made, I don't remember when it was, about the part-time officials making such big game-deciding sometimes, game-altering calls. It's like a part-time guy at a investment firm. It's like, no, I think we should go with this over there. It's like, no, we do this for a living. This is a big deal. We've got all this. Yeah, but I just want to do that right over there. You're a part-time guy.
That part-timer over there simply did not feel there was the level of contact that rose to a material restriction of any action.
That's
so,
exactly right.
there are no material restrictions.
Eric, wrapping us up with the phone calls. Go right ahead, sir. Quickly, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to kind of echo what you guys said about Richie James. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him getting a little more playing time. I mean, I know he got 57 catches for the Giants last year, which is more than, combined Sky Moore has had in almost 2 years. And then just a quick question. I was wondering if Felix Anudike-Uzomah, I mean, I'm not advocating for him getting playing time if he's not good enough, but is he even suiting up for games? And that's all I've got. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Eric, I appreciate the phone call, man. He is suiting up for games. What did he get, 2 snaps yesterday?
2 defensive snaps, 5 on special teams.
Yeah. And if he's not good enough, I don't want him playing in there, and he can continue to develop. Richie James, I'm in agreement. He's shown that he can do it at other places, but Sky Moore has not shown it yet in his career.
I'd watch Cornell Powell. I don't care.
It's Colin Powell at this point. right, wrapping up this hour. We'll talk with Field Yates coming up at noon. Get his thoughts on things around the NFL, what he's seeing from this Chiefs team, concerns that may be there. All along we've been talking about this team. Number one seed. Oh, they lost the game and they fell from the number one seed to the number one seed. And now they lost the game and they fell from what would have been number one seed had they won down to the 4. They have a tiebreaker over a couple of teams that are ahead of them. They do not control their own destiny anymore. They were the only team in the AFC that controlled their own destiny to get the number one seed. Of course, only one team would do that. So we shall see what happens these final 5 games. All of them winnable. If the Chiefs win out, they've got a fantastic shot of getting the first week off of the playoffs. If not, hey, we'll see what happens.
He'll help you fantasy focus while he scoops the news. He's on TV more often than he's in bed. He'll break down the NFL without a single hair ever out of place. It's Field Yates of ESPN. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up later on this hour. Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, joins us in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funniest best, all still to come. Right now, we welcome in Field Yates from ESPN, our NFL insider, joining us here on this Monday. Field, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
Jason, I'm doing all right this morning, afternoon, whatever it is. How are you, my friend?
I am doing just fine as well. Let's talk about this Chiefs team. They fall to the Green Bay Packers. They are now 2-3 in their last 5 games. And in those 5 games, they have eclipsed the 20-point mark twice, the 30-point mark one time. What are you seeing from this Chiefs team, and how much concern is there when we compare them and view them, Field, from the obvious part of do they win the Super Bowl or not?
Yeah, that's the hard part, Jason. You and I have had this conversation every Monday now for, I think, the 4th season we've done it. We've talked about how the standard is not making the playoffs, it's not winning the division. It's whether or not you win the Super Bowl. And for the Chiefs, the way they played offensively last night was not that. It was on par of a team that can win the Super Bowl. And the defense has been so good for much of this season, even if last night was not its best effort, especially on those opening 2 drives in which the Packers were able to both chew up a lot of clock but also score touchdowns to take an early 14-3 lead. But on offense, Jason, the way that I would describe it is that every time the Chiefs score, it feels like the easy button has been thrown out the window, right? For years, it felt like with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, they would kind of almost start the game up 7, 10, 14, nothing, because you knew there was inevitability to the offense. And I think this year, it's the wide receivers obviously don't strike much fear into opposing teams right now, other than the recent ascension of Rashee Rice. But I think also, and he's still, to me, one of the 3 greatest tight ends of all time. But it feels like maybe we have a 10% reduced version of Travis Kelce this season compared to where he was as recently as last year. And the offense just doesn't strike nearly the same amount of fear into opponents as it has for a half decade.
Yeah, and that's something that we've certainly talked about around here for a while, and wondering, would it get better as the season progressed? And I think most people have come to the conclusion at this point, they're 8-4. They're 12 games in. The Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are, and not specifically the record, but while that's used by talking about the record of the team they are, you can also talk about like what they are as a unit, offensive line or a wide receiver group or just an offense overall. Like 12 games in, I think we're past the point of wondering, can this thing get turned around? Can they figure this thing out? Can the Chiefs become more efficient offensively? I think this is who the Chiefs are on offense, and defensively they've got to play well, and they can't turn the ball over. Their margin for error, we've talked about in the past, Field, that, okay, the margin for error is smaller, It's non-existent right now, and there are teams that on the field with the Chiefs are right there on par with them, and it's going to be a play here or there that somebody can, the ball bouncing a certain way as to whether you win in the playoffs. And the what I used to call inevitability of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs doesn't exist anymore with this team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it. That inevitable word, I think, is going to be continue to be tossed around quite a bit, because I just, the back-to-back playoff games, including the 24-point deficit where they overcame a 10-point deficit, and it was like, whatever. It's not even the end.
It's inevitable. They're gonna figure out they're gonna win.
Right? It'll happen.
Yeah,
it's different. So I'm not saying the Chiefs team can't still win the Super Bowl this season. They absolutely can, because they still have a 2-game lead in a division that I think they're going to win, and they're still only a game back, albeit of potentially 3 teams, but they're only a game back on the number 1 seed. And because there's only one first-round bye, it's a tough road for everybody. Everybody, including that number 1 seed, but everybody besides that number 1 seed has an especially difficult path to follow. But we just haven't seen the Chiefs win a Super Bowl on the strength of their defense yet, right? And granted, it's only been 5 seasons of Patrick Mahomes starting, and it's been close to an unparalleled run, other than the Patriots during their apex for the years prior to that. But we're talking about 2 of the most impressive 5-year runs in NFL history, but we just haven't seen it in this manner. And so that's going to raise some question marks surrounding the Chiefs. And, scoring is down this year and last, Jason, compared to where it was on this crazy upward trajectory for what felt like forever. That being said, I think you and I probably still agree that it's easier to win the NFL on the strength of an elite offense and a passable defense right now than it is the inverse, because you look at teams right now. I mean, this is just, it's being fairly criticized and mocked right now, but do you know who the best defense on a points per game basis is over the past 4 games? It's the Patriots, and they're 0-4. They've allowed 46 points. It's just hard to win when playing really good defense when you're not good enough offensively. And the Chiefs have fallen off a cliff relative to the standard that they have set. And as far as answers are concerned, I just don't think you find many when you kind of have the cards that you have available. And this is on the micro level, Jason, this is the challenge for 2023. I think on the more macro level is that when you're the Chiefs and you're never picking in the top 10, and because you've got a lot of really good players and a quarterback who is justifiably the highest paid player ever, you're not going to have a bunch of seasons in which cap space is readily available to you, right? Especially as you prepare to pay for a bunch of guys on defense that have earned new deals. So the Chiefs are going to have to find a way to win around the margin and still find really, really good game-changing players amongst the receiver group. And so far, that has not happened.
Yeah, and they are one step in the process ahead of the other teams in the AFC that they are going up against, because Miami is not dealing with that. Jacksonville's not dealing with that yet. Even the Bengals, even though Joe Burrow's not playing, but the Bengals are not dealing with the cap hit. The money is there in the annual average value, but the cap hit that is going on with the Chiefs, the Bills will start to suffer from that next year, and Lamar Jackson, et cetera, moving forward. Like, those teams will then have to make those tough decisions. The Chiefs are already there, and I think we're seeing that that's how that margin for error starts to go away. Is you rely on some guys in second-round picks and Sky Moore and Rashee Rice, and Kelsey gets a little bit older, and the tackles have not been playing at a level I think they were hoping they would be at. And I think part of that, too, Field, is that, the Chiefs are keeping some tight ends to help, to chip, a running back in to help, to chip, and that's one less guy out in a route and a pattern, which help limit your offense and makes them a little less dynamic.
That's all very well said. And again, this is not the sky is falling moment for the Chiefs.
Right.
It's a question of two things, right? One, it's resourcefulness, right? It's going forward. How do we handle, and it's got a really, really good draft track record. I'm not trying to say that they haven't done an outstanding job there, but, it's how do we hit on wide receivers going forward in the drafts, or skilled players going forward in the draft? Because the rest of the roster, maybe the offensive tackles as well are worth noting, but a lot of that roster looks to me like it's in pretty good shape. Wanya Morris, by the way, I should say, he could be a potential starting tackle for a good period of time based off the early returns that we have seen so far this season. So it's going to be that, and then it's also going to be, I felt, at least my own evaluation was that, last year the Chiefs had this incredibly young secondary, and I feel like because they knew the offense was so good that they almost had a bit more margin for error defensively last year. Those guys, they can live with their growing pains. Not like Trent McDuffie or whatever struggle out of the gates, right? But he gets hurt, he comes back. You just had a little bit more patience on those players. Is the inverse going to happen now? Can these wide receivers, when the defense is playing at a really, really high level, develop on the fly? And is there hope for Sky Moore going forward? Is there hope for any of these young guys right now? Rashee Rice certainly has a lot of hope. Is Kadarius Toney ever going to be a consistent presence for the Chiefs? And I know that probably fans that are probably frustrated over even asking those questions, because a year and a half in for Sky Moore, fans are probably saying, we want more, right? But those are the kind of questions the Chiefs are going to have to answer now. And all that being said, for as negative as this conversation has sounded for the first 8 or 9 minutes of it, Jason, they're 8-4, they're in first place, and they have an actual path to being the number 1 seed in the AFC. So.
Absolutely. I mean, Baltimore, Miami, Jacksonville, they've got some tough games. Baltimore plays both Jacksonville and Miami. I believe Miami still goes to San Francisco. Jacksonville's got a couple of games along the way that they've got to deal with, including tonight against the Bengals. So, I mean, not saying the Bengals will win, but if the Bengals winning could actually help out the Chiefs in a random odd way this late in the season, which typically Chiefs fans would probably be rooting for the Jags tonight, but not this particular year. The Buffalo Bills come up next. Field Yates from ESPN is our guest. they beat the Dolphins 48-20, and they're sitting 3-1. And it's like, all right, Buffalo is a legit team. Here they are again. They're 3-5 since then, and they've lost to Denver, which the Chiefs have as well. They've lost to New England. They've lost to the Jags. They lost in an overtime game against the Eagles in sort of the same way with higher scoring that the Eagles and Chiefs played their game. But they have a bye week. They can regroup. I feel like this game is going to be an absolute bear for the Chiefs, and it's a wounded animal coming in, and Buffalo is sitting on the outside looking in to the NFL playoffs. They are 6-6. They're a game back of a couple of different teams that are 7-5. I don't care about the 6-6 record for Buffalo. I think this is going to be a really difficult task for the Chiefs this weekend.
Couldn't agree anymore, Jason. As a matter of fact, if I'm the Chiefs, I'm saying to myself, I'm treating this as a must-win, not just for us, but for the entire conference. Buffalo could lose to anybody. They have lost to the Patriots, who are now the second worst record in the NFL this season. This team, at their worst, can be very beatable. At their best, though, they are absolutely in a potential freight train here. And coming out of that late season bye, that often can be like that catalyst. It's like, all right, this is our last chance. Buffalo knows it needs to go at least 3-2 in their final 5 games, and that includes games against the Chiefs, Cowboys, and Dolphins down the stretch. 2 of those games being on the road, including, of course, this weekend at Arrowhead. So Buffalo understands the urgency here. Kansas City needs to meet that. And I think for Buffalo, it's going to be like the formula for the Chiefs against Buffalo is as follows. This team can be run on. This team is not nearly not nearly there defensively that we thought they were on paper coming into the season. Just between injuries and, Von Miller, separate from this most recent legal situation, has been, shelled himself. He's hardly played coming off of that ACL tear from last season. You can run on them. You can throw on them more than you have in prior years. And also, Jason, Josh Allen is going to give you an opportunity or more per game. And do you make the most of that opportunity from Josh Allen, or do you not, right? And that's the question. Because if you don't take advantage of the opportunities he gives you, then he could throw for 300 yards and rush for a touchdown. If you do, then we can see what a bad Josh Allen game looks like. And this Chiefs defense, I would think, after last night, is probably pretty anxious to get back out on the field because this Buffalo Bills offense is more talented than that Green Bay Packers offense last night. I think the Chiefs probably are feeling like we did not leave our best effort out there on the field last night.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And Buffalo comes off a bye now, so they got a rested team. Chiefs are trying to get back on the winning track. What team in the AFC do you look at as the biggest threat to the Chiefs right now? Is it Baltimore? Is it Miami, Jacksonville? I mean, they beat Miami and Jacksonville, but that Miami game could have gone either way, especially the way it went in the second half. But as you look at this, this AFC picture right now, the Chiefs, the 4 seed. What's the team do you think is the most likely to head to the Super Bowl?
I think it's actually the Dolphins, and maybe I shouldn't. They have a difficult 3-game stretch to finish the season. They play the Ravens, the Bills, and the Cowboys down the stretch as well. So Miami has something to prove, obviously, in those final 3 games. They have pulverized bad teams and then not had their way. They've lost to good teams. They've lost to the Chiefs, Eagles, and also the Bills earlier this season. 3 teams that have a 500 or above record. That being said, Jason, they're just so explosive. They're so explosive offensively. I mean, what they're doing right now is utterly ridiculous on offense. And then defensively, they're kind of finding their way a little bit right now with Jalen Ramsey being back. Yes, they lost Jalen Phillips to an injury. An Achilles tear. He's out for the rest of the season. But that one is the team that I think has a chance because someone out of those 4 is going to get that top seed. Not to say it's the obvious here. But I just think, if they're playing their best, and their best is not a guarantee, just like it is for no team in the NFL. I do believe the Dolphins' best is better than everybody else's best amongst those teams that we are considering as top Chiefs foes. The Ravens, very, very good, but up and down offensively. And with the Jaguars, I get it. They are, they keep winning, but they would be one where I would have some questions about. I hate to get into college football land right here, but their strength of wins, not quite as strong as some of the others we have talked about. I know Miami has yet to prove it in a major way, but Jacksonville still has a little bit more for me to feel fully confident in them.
In years past, it was easy to say, if the Chiefs play their best, they're the best team in the AFC. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. As we look at those 4 teams, you mentioned Miami is maybe the most likely to win the AFC. If you've got all 4 teams playing A games, these 4 teams that are division leaders right now, if all 4 teams are playing their absolute best, who is the best out of those?
Oh God, yeah, that's a good one. I think I probably we have to define what the best version of the Chiefs offense is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if that Chargers game is available
Yeah,
or that
right.
Bears game is available, it's probably the Chiefs based off of their offense and their defensive performance. But if the sort of the best version of the Chiefs offense is closer to like maybe what we saw against the Raiders a couple weeks ago, which was good for a stretch, was great for a stretch, and then not so much otherwise. Fair question, Jason.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably Miami or Kansas City.
Yeah.
Tough one.
No, I don't disagree. It just it's just simply evidence of where we are right now with this AFC picture and where the Chiefs are. That is not the position they've been in years past. They are sitting in a position to where a lot of the other teams were sitting in, looking at the Chiefs and around the league is how do you get to the playoffs? How do you get a home game? How do you win your division? Can you get the number 1 seed or even the number 2 seed to be able to host that divisional game and give yourself a chance? And there's a pretty decent chance that we will see the Chiefs in a road game in the playoffs this year for the first time under Patrick Mahomes, which is also sort of fascinating. Early projection, 6 days away. What do you think happens with Chiefs and Bills?
I think the Chiefs found a way to hold on here, Jason, because this might be maybe hyperbolic, but you can tell me, maybe the most desperate the Chiefs have ever had to play in a regular season game in the Patrick Mahomes era.
Yeah.
I mean, is that too crazy of a thought?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the times where it's like, because of where they have gotten to. Like they've played desperate in terms of trying to prove themselves in 2018 and then 2019, et cetera. 2020, they were reigning champs, and it sort of felt like they were sleepwalking at times. 2021, the prove it and revamping the offensive line and things like that. Last year, you almost felt like, did they play desperate against the Bengals in the regular season? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. There's always that element of, okay, well, if Andy Reid's playing a team that he thinks he might play in the playoffs, is he willing to sacrifice some things in the regular season to get him in the postseason? Yeah, I don't know that that's the case this way. I'd have to go back and look, but I certainly think if it's not, it is definitely in the running when I sit here and think about how desperate they should be playing on Sunday. It's a great point.
You got to figure that even if it's not the most desperate, it's on the short list, right? That seems reasonable enough that we can at least land there. So I think we'll learn about them. I really do. And I know that we learn about them every single week, but this is a big one on Sunday. I know both of these teams have a ton to play for, because if you're Kansas City, you don't win, you're probably not getting the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Right? That's going to be
agreed.
Potentially 2-game gap to overcome in the final 2 weeks of the season. And that, to me, is tough, obviously. And if the Buffalo Bills don't win, then, 6 and 7, you could legitimately be on the outside looking into the playoffs, which is a crazy thought. But Buffalo being a 7th seed in the playoffs is also a very scary thought for the teams that have to potentially play it, which is, I can't wait for the AFC playoff picture, too.
Yeah.
Because meanwhile, we're sitting here thinking about whether or not the freaking Falcons or Saints are going to host the Cowboys or the Eagles in round 1 of the playoffs. Meanwhile, it's like the Bills might, the Chiefs could draw the Bills in round 1 of the playoffs.
No, thank you. Absolutely no, thank you. This AFC,
it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, we talked about how crazy it was, and it certainly turned out to be that. And we'll see as it progresses. Field Yates from ESPN, our NFL insider. Field, you're the man as always. Really appreciate the time, sir. Enjoy the football this week. We'll be watching and checking out everything that you do there at ESPN with the fantasy as well. And then we will talk next Monday. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, my friend. Talk to you next week. Big one on Sunday.
Yeah, it's massive. Thank you, Field. Field Yates from ESPN, no doubt. And now, just playing a hypothetical here. As he talked about, if the Chiefs were to lose to the Bills, do they lose the number 1 seed on Sunday? They're a game behind. They hold the tiebreaker over Miami. They are a game behind. Will you turn his mic on? Because I heard him say, but I didn't.
I'm just agreeing with you, which is the most important time for my mic to be on.
That's great.
Yes, Jason. Very good point so far.
Okay, let's move on. Bryant Gumbel. Let's move on. Our next story comes from Miami, where the Dolphins have turned things around. So the Dolphins, if the Chiefs were to lose the Bills, they are a game behind the Dolphins already. The Chiefs lose to the Bills. The Dolphins have 1 road game left this year. 1. That's at Baltimore on New Year's Eve. That's week 17. Second to last game of the season.
That's wild.
They play, moving forward, home to Tennessee, home to the Jets, home to the Cowboys, at Baltimore, and maybe a dead Bills team at the end of the season in Week 18. That whether it's a dead Bills team or not, they're playing them at home. They got crushed by the Bills earlier in the year, and they might have the number 1 seed on the line in that game. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as a W.
It also could be the Bills a wild card game and the Dolphins playing for the 1 seed. That game could be good.
Right.
It also could just be very lopsided.
Yeah, it could be the Bills 2 games out. Doesn't matter.
Right.
They are not going to make the playoffs, and they're thinking about what happens in the offseason and how they regroup. But this is a team in the Chiefs that's 1 game behind already. They would need the Dolphins to lose 2 of those games the rest of the way if the Chiefs lose to the Bills. Titans at home, Jets at home, Bills at home, Cowboys at home, at the Ravens. What 2 games do they drop? I mean, Titans just lost to the Colts at home.
Yeah, you need the Cowboys.
You need the Cowboys to go in there. Big Cowboys fans. You need Baltimore to win. But you also then need Baltimore to suffer a loss somewhere else along the way if Baltimore beats Miami, which could happen in San Francisco. If Baltimore were to lose to either Jacksonville or San Francisco, you'd then want them to beat the Dolphins.
Right.
Because then the Chiefs with the tiebreaker, et cetera, et cetera. And then with Jacksonville, you still need them to lose 1 more game along the way. They've got Cincinnati tonight. Can Cincinnati go in there and win? Yeah, they can. Are they? Probably not. But then they head to Cleveland next week. Does DTR play? Is he back? Is it Joe Flacco off the street? They got Baltimore at home. They go to Tampa Bay. They got Carolina at home. They go to Tennessee. Very winnable games for Jacksonville, especially if they've got the number 1 or 2 seed on the line. You win this week. You've got Cleveland on the road. If you win the next 2 weeks and you're Jacksonville and 4 games to play and you've got 3 losses, you got a massive game on Sunday Night Football against Baltimore at home. And then 3 non-playoff teams.
Yep.
I mean,
you almost need to rely on Baltimore winning that game.
Yeah.
When you then need to rely on Baltimore losing elsewhere. Again, probably the Niners, right? That's
the 49ers.
A good chance from the Chiefs side.
You know.
And that's in a world where the Chiefs don't lose again.
Right.
If they don't lose to the Bills.
Yes.
I think it's fair. I think if the Chiefs lose to the Bills, I think the 1 seed is a snowball that is now the size of an ice cube.
It's a stretch.
It is melting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right now, it's very much a possibility. They're the 3rd, according to FPI, they're the 3rd most likely team to make the Super Bowl.
If the Chiefs win out, I think they end up with the 1 seed.
I do too, by the way. Because I think all of those things, like it's tough for all of those. It's tough for any team to win out.
Yep.
But they can win 5 games in a row.
Yep.
The Chiefs can. And the schedule that they have with, obviously winnable games. If they beat Buffalo this weekend, and that's an if, they're a 3-point favorite, which means on a neutral, site, if you go back to the old adage of the 3 points for the home field advantage, whatever, that's what Arrowhead gives you or not. They should take care of New England on the road. New England cannot score. You have a Vegas team in which they gave it the old college try in Vegas, but you got them at home on Christmas. You got a Cincinnati Jake O'Donnell or Neil Everett or Stan Humphries. I don't know the damn dude's name that plays quarterback for it's Aiden O'Doyle. O'Doyle rules. You got that quarterback there with Cincinnati.
Did you say a Neil O'Donnell? Is that who you said?
Yeah.
Great reference.
Thank you. And then out of L.A. Like those are all winnable games. This is the toughest game remaining to me. I don't know if Brandon Staley will be the coach in Week 18 for the Chargers.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the score was to the Patriots game. I did not care about that game 1 iota. I watched 0 plays of that game. 0 plays of that game.
Do you now know how the game ended, what the final score was?
I know the Patriots had 0. That's all I know.
How many points do you think the Chargers scored?
At one point, I saw it on my I saw they had 6 points at one point.
Uh-huh.
They didn't have 1 point. But as the game was going along, I saw them up 6-0 in the second half. But I honestly don't know if they got another field goal. Did they score a touchdown?
You saw it was 6-0 at one point. Take a jab at it.
9-0.
6-0. A football game in 2023 in the NFL ended 6-0.
Yeah. And the Bills had the Eagles right where they wanted them last week.
Oh.
They were beating them. They were winning that game. And they would be in the playoffs right now if the Bills would have won that game. Or they'd be tied, or there'd be tiebreakers, all of that stuff. But they'd be 7-5, like the last.
They'd be 7-5 and getting and cocking back to get the tiebreaker over the potentially also 8-5 Chiefs.
Yeah, Steelers 7-5, Browns 7-5, Colts 7-5, Texas 7-5, Texans 7-5. Bills would be 7-5 if they knocked off the Eagles.
Imagine that too. Bills beat the Eagles and then beat the Chiefs, and now they're 8-5, and they're the hottest team in football. Just the narrative difference.
They've turned things around. The Bills, if they were sitting at 7-5 right now, and then beat the Chiefs and they were 8-5, you would start to talk about them like the 2019 Chiefs, where it's like Baltimore was the big deal, and at different times the Chiefs have been a team that it's like, yeah, they're there, but who's the other team? The Chiefs are just under the radar, sort of just there. 2018, under the radar. Oh, they're awesome, but it's the Patriots. 2019, they're awesome. It's the Ravens. 2020, they're the defending champions, but the Steelers are like 10-0. Playing defense that we've never seen before. Historically great defense that we've never seen before. Even though the Chiefs weren't just like roaming behind the pack. They went 14-1 when they tried to win that year. But that would be the narrative around the Bills if that were the case. If they would have beat the Eagles and then won this weekend. Which is very likely. Not like it is certainly a high possibility considering they're coming off a bye.
Yep.
And I know the 49ers just went in and curb stomped the Eagles, but the 49ers were playing that game, what was it, the first game for them in, they had played November 23rd on a Thursday. And then they got the extra time, and the Eagles were playing their third game in 13 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think there's something to that. Like we talk about like week by week.
Nah, I've seen that commercial about how easy it is to make the NFL schedule now. That can't be a problem.
Like I know we talk about like week by week. Does it matter if there's one team that's got extra rest than the other? But if you're talking about, you haven't played in 10 days, and the Eagles are playing their third game in 13, especially when you're playing a game of that magnitude where the 49ers are like, you know what, we want to beat this team down. This is a team that we are tired of hearing about. Y'all beat us with a quarterback that had one arm last year. You beat us in the championship game with a quarterback with one arm. Guess what? He's got both. And we got our skill position players, and Trent Williams is playing too. So let's see what happens. And the Eagles had survived the Chiefs, survived the Bills, and then
beat the Cowboys the week before that. That means 3 games in a short window there. But it's just a crazy stretch. I mean, they beat the Dolphins, Commanders, and Cowboys in those 3. Then it's the tight window for Chiefs, Bills, Niners. That's brutal. And hey, Eagles, congratulations. You have the Cowboys in 6 days.
Yeah.
Again.
Right. Absolutely. Like it is.
They're still good.
On the road.
I'm not being shaken away from the Eagles being #still good.
No, I'm not either. I just don't know that 42-19 is a true representation of those two teams. If let's say they both came off a bye and they're playing in the divisional round, or they both just played in the divisional round and then they're playing in the championship game, whether that be in San Francisco or Philadelphia, everybody healthy, not what we saw last year. I don't know that that's a true representation of those games. It's also not an excuse because Philadelphia got by the skin of their teeth with the Dallas game, went on a bye, got by the skin of their teeth with the Chiefs, got by the skin of their teeth, both of those double-digit comebacks against good teams, and then they tried to do the same thing with San Francisco, and they didn't have enough. Did they run out of gas? I don't know. Is San Francisco that good? They might be, when healthy. I might be wrong, and that might be a full, true representation of the gap that's there between the 49ers and the Eagles, and this year is the 49ers Super Bowl to lose. Feels like that right now, that this is the 49ers Super Bowl to lose. Can they do it? Yeah, they can do it. If they trail in the fourth quarter, they don't win. We know that. Hell, even when they lead in the fourth quarter by 10 points in the Super Bowl, they don't win. You never know. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll hear from Andy Reid this hour, and Mick Schaefer comes up at 1 o'clock. More Zone next.
and 11. Deep drop by Mahomes. Pumps, looks, hit as he throws in the middle. It's caught by the former Packer, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's got the first down at the 31-yard line.
Do not underestimate this play, not just by Mahomes, but by MVS on the outside. He had to basically slide and somehow make sure that ball didn't get to the ground. Mahomes just buried it between ribs 3 and 4 that didn't move.
See, that's what Mahomes has to do. It has to put him between ribs 3 and 4, not between numbers 1 and 1.
Or between the bars of Darrell Williams' face mask.
That's right.
In the ribs.
Yes.
Do you think that Mahomes
What
could
drive was that, by the
legally
way?
play with like a spike on the end of the ball?
That would be great. Is that the first drive of the game? Where he
I'm gonna
slid?
find it. Yep. It was the first offensive drive of the game for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So it
Third and
happened
11.
late in the first quarter.
It's 3rd and 11. Yeah. It's a big play. 3rd and 11.
And Pacheco, 27-yarder right after that. Oh, man, things are great. They're in the red zone on their first drive. Yep.
First and goal at the 5. I mean, Andy Reid's right when he talks about, you can't dig a hole there. You got to start faster offensively, defensively. You got to be better than that. I mean, the Chiefs gave up, 14 first-half points to the Raiders. None more after that.
Yep.
But they ended up giving up, 15 more to the Packers in the second half? After they gave up the 14, it's like, all right, if they do what they've been doing, all right, they gave up 14 points. That sucks. It happens. It was 2, quicker drives. They got to be better.
Somebody in the studio last night might have felt really good about getting the Packers under 24.5 live betting.
Oh, no.
That someone might have thought that was going to work out.
That one hurts.
I feel they probably feel justified in their logic. We'll do it again next week. See how it goes.
So the other game I was thinking of, defense gave up 17 points in the first half of the Chargers. Chargers didn't score again. Raiders scored 14 in the first half, didn't score again. Dolphins didn't score any, but then scored 14 in the second half. It kind of felt like that a little bit with the Packers, and maybe that was going to be the case in the second half. Was not the case. Chiefs had opportunities, man. 4th and 1, completion. We talked about in the first hour or so, first couple of hours of the show, all the different parts of that particular second half, that play, many, many, many angles to the whole thing of the second half. But that play specifically, there was illegal hands to the face. Also, man, that ball just floated there for what felt like 30 seconds. And my biggest concern was that the Chiefs were going to intercept it and have the ball down there instead of getting the ball at like the 40 or wherever they were on a 4th and 1. That was not the case because it was a first down and then, one play later? Or maybe it was a 2nd and goal that ended up being the touchdown to Christian Watson. Even if he didn't catch it, it was still a hold on L'Jarius Sneed. It was going to be 1st and 10 or 1st and goal, whatever. So that was still, an issue right there.
Should have been 14-12, getting the ball back in midfield.
Man. Going and scoring, Going and scoring again.
And they ended up scoring on their full drive right after that.
Yeah.
Should have been 19-14.
Yeah, I mean, the drives they did not score on, the kneel at the end of the half, that doesn't count.
Yep.
The end of the game where they should have had 1st and goal at the 5.
Yep.
The drive in which Richie James was tackled on 3rd down.
Yep, and the MVS miss.
And then the interception.
Yep.
So
1 punt.
So the interception is the one drive where the Chiefs sort of controlled it. Richie James getting tackled, that's an easy call.
Yeah.
It should be 1st down. Maybe they punt after that. Maybe Mahomes throws a pick 6. You never know. Who knows what happens at that point moving forward. But there's a number of things that I think are questions with this team moving forward. I also wonder, too, anybody else getting annoyed at the game plan from Steve Spagnuolo in that game? His obsession with 3 defensive linemen. The second half, they weren't putting pressure on Jordan Love.
Yeah.
They were rushing 3. They weren't blitzing. It felt like at times that Jordan Love was being treated like Lamar Jackson.
There was a lot of weird sort of spy, not really right. That's something I caught in real time. Was there were like 5 guys standing at the line of scrimmage, but only 3 of them were going forward. I don't see if I can figure out what play that was.
Yeah, the touchdown to who was that touchdown to Christian Watson. The touchdown to Christian Watson, which made it 14-3.
Yep, there were 5 guys on the line,
but Cochran and Willie Gay were not rushing.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly what I have here too. Yes, you were putting 2 spies on Jordan Love on 3rd and 5.
Yeah,
they weren't deep enough to be covering much of anything.
I went into a longer, detailed note on that.
Okay, good, because I've not rewatched that play since it happened.
Only 3 rushers, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and Mike Dana. Cochran and Gay spied on Jordan Love. He sat there. The tackle guard on the right side, the right guard, right tackle, doubled Chris Jones.
Yeah.
A.J. Dillon and the tight end, it might have been Kraft, on the left side, doubled Karlaftis. So you had a tight end and you had a running back on Karlaftis. The center, unfortunately, pancaked Michael Dana.
Okay.
And then
you got 2 free linemen just hanging out.
And then you've got the left tackle on Gay, and you've got the left guard that was sliding over for Cochran.
And again, so I saw that result and process happen live, but I have not rewatched it. It really, to you on checking again, looked like it was 2 linebackers spying Jordan Love.
Yeah, they didn't.
It's really weird.
Trying to think of so the right guard, Cochran was lined up over the right guard.
Yeah.
Chris Jones was 1-on-1 with the right tackle. Cochran at the line of scrimmage. Jordan Love takes the snap. Cochran takes 1 step forward. The guard is facing him. He takes 1 step back. The guard goes to his right to double.
Jones,
if that was a delayed blitz, then Cochran might have gotten through. But then Cochran just sort of sat there at the line of scrimmage and sort of started to, shave down the line of scrimmage, scrape down the line of scrimmage a little bit behind Michael Dana. But it wasn't like they were running a game or a stunt to where he was going to come on the right side of Michael Dana after Dana was going to his left, taking the center away from that. They just stalked and sat there. And Jordan Love sat there in the pocket and sat there in the pocket and then found a wide open Christian Watson. It's like, that's not Lamar Jackson back there. But almost that entire drive, there were like 3 down linemen.
Yeah.
There were 3 defensive linemen almost the entire drive. And I'm like, they've got A.J. Dillon on the field. Like, you're not pressuring Jordan Love. You're not blitzing, and you're not even rushing with 4. What the hell are they doing? Like, it made no sense. And the Packers were able to just extend the drive and take some time and extend the drive. And the Chiefs not pressuring Jordan Love, open receivers. He got some coverage sacks. But guess what? In the second half, the Chiefs started having 4 defensive linemen and also blitzing. And they were putting him in situations to where there was a false start that set him behind the chains. There was a delay of game, which set him behind the chains. There was the 4th and 1, which they were, behind the chains because it's 4th down. You damn near got the stop. They got behind the chains on a hold on Turk Wharton because Jordan Love was pressured and had to escape the pocket, and Turk Wharton got held, so it made it 2nd and 16. They accepted the penalty. I think they should have accepted the penalty. It would have been 3rd and 6. If they, looking back, knowing what you know now, don't take the penalty and maybe they run a different play. But it's 2nd and 16, and then they complete a 33-yard pass to Dobbs because L'Jarius Sneed does not follow the wide receiver where he's supposed to be. He vacates that spot to come up and try to make a play on the underneath receiver, the tight end. Maybe to set up like a 3rd and long. But, even if that tight end runs underneath in the flat and picks up 8 yards, it's still 3rd and 8. You're still in a better situation than you would have been if you declined the penalty and had 3rd and 6. You're in a worse situation when you give up 33 yards on the pass. Like the game plan was odd with how often there were 3 down linemen. Yeah. Especially considering how injured the linebacking and secondary group was.
I wonder if that's part of why it ended up going that direction when you say, hey, we are, because they lost Justin Reed for a couple snaps. He ends up back in. Obviously, Tranquil early and then never came back. And then Cook a little later, obviously never came back. That to me felt like if there's any part of it that's like, is there something the other teams are going to poke at here? I think it's, hey, dummy, don't throw to Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed. You're right to point out the one bad Sneed play, and McDuffie's got once or twice this season.
And the Christian Watson touchdown was McDuffie, but it was also like 8 seconds for Jordan Love to sit in the pocket while he had 2 spies on him.
Right. God. Generally speaking, don't even worry about where Snead and McDuffie are, and make linebackers and safeties or Jalen Watson or Joshua Williams make the play. And the Packers did a very good job of being able to exploit that often enough. And I don't think there were plays off the top of my head. It was like, oh man, Jack Cochran wasn't there and Drew Tranquill would have been. So I don't know how much it changes, but I do really want to know what happens if Drew Tranquill is out there for the entire game.
There was one longer run by A.J. Dillon in which Cochran was lined up. The guard ended up coming to get Jack Cochran, and the handoff was to the right side of the guard, so in between the guard and the tackle. And Cochran, for whatever reason, over-pursued to his own right, and the guard just, locked him out. And there was the hole was wide open to where I'm not sure why he took the extra step the other way. Maybe he thought that's where the play was going, but it was sort of an easy scrape down the line for A.J. Dillon just to see the wide open gap there. I don't know if Nick Bolton makes a difference, if Drew Tranquill does that. Maybe that's the way they played it. That would have been the same thing that Nick Bolton said, this is where that play is going to go into this hole. Boom, I'm going to shoot the gap here, and then you're toast, because the guard, all he does is just turn you away, and he's already got the leverage on you, and A.J. Dillon's 7 yards down the field. It's tough. I do wonder if there's an element of power right at the Chiefs, because they've had trouble stopping the run. Power at the Chiefs, play action, misdirection, handing the ball off on some reverses, some pop passes to make sure they've got a guard sideline to sideline, but power right at them, controlling the clock, knowing that the Chiefs, when the possessions are limited, they've had turnovers, they've had penalties, they've shot themselves in the foot, and if their possessions are limited, maybe they start to press a little bit more, but start off with power right at them, right up the gut, and see if they can ever stop that. Nick Bolton would make a difference. Derek Nottie not playing an awful game would make a difference. Justin Reed not playing an awful game would make a difference. I think there were a number of guys that had bad games.
And you've got to have the chunk plays in other spots, which is something the Packers were able to do.
Yeah, there were guys that had bad games last night. I think Donovan Smith had a terrible game when he was in and out of the game. Wanya Morris, for a rookie and playing limited snaps, I thought was fine, but it is what it is. I thought Derek Nottie played a terrible game, and maybe that's why Nottie wasn't in on some of those drives, is because he was getting pushed around anyway. I thought Justin Reed played a pretty rough game there. Snead seemed to be fine for the most part outside of, the play in which he gave up the long on second down and 16. McDuffie was fine. I didn't think Willie Gay, I thought he had a bad game too. Willie Gay had a pretty rough game. Michael Dana, times had a pretty rough game, getting manhandled by a center. Like, can't have that. Can't get pancaked by a center on 3rd and goal. That's rough. That's a 4-point, not him, but it's a 4-point play overall. Yeah. That play specifically was a 4-point play. That's not his fault, because again, even if he got pancaked, if Cochran and Willie Gay are also blitzing, Jordan Love doesn't have that time to sit in the pocket when guys were guarded. Guys were covered. So you did what you needed to do on the back end. You just didn't pressure him. If that was one where you brought Willie Gay and Cochran on a blitz, I'm going to guess that they don't score there because he didn't have that much time. Maybe Jordan Love has to keep it, but it's not like they were at the 2-yard line. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. On the other side of the break, also, Mick Schaefer will be hanging out with us, KSHB 41 Sports Director. We will hear one person say, look, there are some issues going on. We got to clean it up. It's on me. And a lot of self-inflicted wounds. And it's not acceptable. And we'll hear Andy Reid talk about his team. That'll come up in the next segment. Got some Learn Funniest Best from the weekend that was. And we have yet to really weigh in on the universally approved college football playoff. I'm surprised that nobody has been complaining about that.
Should be pretty easy for us to break down and wrap up. I mean,
yeah. Okay, there's the 4 teams. Got the 4 teams.
Pretty clear. The committee got it exactly.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
Speaking of Guaranteed Foods, the tailgate pack giveaway going on for this upcoming home game. Bills in town. Register today. 810WHB.com/guaranteed foods. Keep going, guys. I like the background snaps.
Make you give me a baseline real quick.
No snare. Register today through Thursday. Winner will be announced and contacted on Friday morning. Everything included. Guaranteed Foods tailgate pack giveaway. Screw you, Bill. So anyway, the tailgate pack giveaway going on this week. You can register.
Tailgate sleeps tonight.
Today through Thursday, 810WHB.com/guaranteed foods. Somebody will win. Maybe it's you. Will win 4 slabs of baby back ribs, brisket burn-ins, cheesy corn, bone-in honey barbecue wings, Cure 81 honey glazed ham, jalapeno soft pretzel bites, Johnsonville brats, chicken tender strips, baked beans with brisket, baked potato casserole, gourmet turtle cheesecake. It is a $500 value, and we are giving away for free just by going and signing up 810WHB.com/guaranteed foods. Register today through Thursday, and the winner will be contacted on Friday morning. So there you go. Guaranteed Foods. Big shout out to them. Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Guaranteed phenomenal hour of radio.
Yeah.
Or your money back.
I have some very low-value
People pay for
breaking
this?
NFL news that is just very funny to me. Because earlier I was scrolling through old Bengals quarterbacks so we could add to our bit of never knowing who's playing quarterback for the Bengals.
That's right.
Well, the name I was going to go to is A.J. McCarron because it's been a while. He was a draft pick, and I just thought that would be a funny one. Mm-hmm. Report says they have signed A.J. McCarron from the practice squad to the active roster. I forgot he was on the practice squad.
Because Stan Humphries is going tonight if he ends up getting hurt. You want to have a third guy. The Chiefs end up losing to the Packers 27-19. People probably are aware of that by now. We talked a lot about that through the first few hours of the show.
At least it's a one-score loss.
You're darn right. They don't lose by more than one score except for the
when they
Broncos.
do. Except when they do.
Except when they do. That's right. And Mahomes down by double digits. I mean, he's got a above 500 record.
Yeah.
Not as good as it was, yesterday morning, but
it got worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy Reid at the podium. Here is his opening statement today after getting a chance to look at the film to see about things that they probably need to clean up.
We'll clean that up.
Very much like last night on the report that I gave you, that I thought Green Bay played a good game, better than what we did. They made fewer mistakes than what we did. So, and that includes myself in the mix here. It starts with some of the calls that I can help our guys with, in particular down the red zone, and then some of our execution down there, whether it's penalties, sacks, whatever it might be. But I can help them with that part and do a better job there. Defensively, our objective is to get off the field as soon as you possibly can, and they were able to use the clock and in a couple different ways by not getting off the field and then letting it get down to that 5-second area. So they shortened the game that way and opportunities that way. So we can do a better job in both those areas. We did some good things on special teams, but we gave up a fairly big kickoff return. So we can tighten that part up likewise. We're very close. And as you guys know, in this league, it's a week-to-week thing. I mean, I know the 49ers are doing a great job right now, but they went through a period where they lost 3 games and everybody thought it was over. And so I understand that's how it's perceived outside our building, inside the building here, though. We understand that. We understand we've got to get better. I was able to talk to the team after the game and tell them that. And the margin between winning and losing in this thing is small, just to start with. So if you start messing around with some of these things that I just talked about, then you can fall behind in a game. It's tough to get yourself back into that position. But at the same time, you're very close. So you take care of that, and then you end up on the long end of the stick there with a win. So, anyways, with that, time, I don't have anything for you injury wise right now. So we'll get that to you later.
They shortened the game. They definitely did that. And the calls in the red zone, certainly could be better. The first 2 trips down there end up being field goals, and that's a huge part in the game. They lost by 8. Those are 4-point possessions. Yeah, that's 8 points on the board. They lost by 72, so they lost by 8. Dang it, that was close. Andy continued. He was asked about where they are with Patrick Mahomes and the young wide receivers getting on this same page people are asking about.
Yeah, so listen, I mean, Pete, those things happen. I mean, where even between good receivers, good quarterbacks that have these great reputations and so on. So those things will happen every once in a while, and you learn from it and you move on. So that's what we've got to do there. I mean, both guys, the quarterback and the receiver, are good players. So it's I don't think it's a drastic thing there. They've got to be on just make sure that they clean that part up, and they will.
Let's go next to Jesse Newell. Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, Andy, I just wondered, do you think Nick Bolton will be back this week?
Yeah, so Jesse, he practiced last week, and I know he's chomping at the bit to get back in there and play. So we'll see how it goes for this week. He will be a week better, though. I know that, and we'll just see how it works out. As these next couple of days.
He's hopefully a week better. Practiced last week. We'll see. They need to get on the same page. Maybe they should switch the book.
Maybe it should just be all like on a Kindle, like online.
Yeah, right. Get on the same screen. Change
They're
chapters.
all using those Windows Surface machines.
Get on the same email. Try something different, because this page that they are trying to get on, the same one, maybe read the page. Don't stand on it.
They're going to figure it out.
I have an unpopular opinion there.
What's that? That the page is fine?
That was more Mahomes' fault than Sky Moore's fault on the interception.
Chase Daniel agrees with you.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Great.
So it's an unpopular for
correct opinion.
It's
he covers for his receivers all the time, right? And afterward, he said, "Look, he was capping the fade, which doesn't mean he was lying about the fade, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
And in trying to be on the same page with Patrick Mahomes, Sky Moore saw that and thought, okay, it's back shoulder here.
Yeah.
I think if he keeps running that route, it's still an interception. Maybe Moore's there to help break it up and play deep.
It's not complete. It's not a completed pass, probably.
Not to the offense.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not a completed pass to Sky Moore. It still might be an interception. Yeah, Chase Daniel this morning said, a guy who's played in this offense, right? And he said, when the slot corner is off like that, it's going to be tougher for Rashee Rice to get the rub to create that wheel route. When he's lined up in press, that play is going to work. He said when he's up in press, you throw it over the top. When he's lined up off the receiver, if he's going over the top, it turns into a back shoulder.
That's what my untrained eye saw.
And Chase Daniel's like, they've practiced that thing 1,000 times. And so that's why Sky was slowing down. He was looking for the back shoulder coming his way, and Mahomes threw it over the top, and that wasn't the right read. The defender was there. So Mahomes is not perfect. He's not perfect. He'll make some mistakes, too.
We've got some sacred cows with this team, right?
Yeah.
With Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But at this point, nobody is above any sort of blame in losses like this.
That's right. Yeah.
These last 2 losses, that is what Patrick Mahomes is paid to do. We have had a game full of mistakes on both sides of the ball and on the sideline with coaching. You have the ball in what's been a 2-minute situation, right, with the Eagles, and basically a 4-minute situation. It's about 5 against the Packers last night. Just go win the game for us. We've messed. Yeah. Everybody's messed up. We can go win the game. That is his role, and you're not going to do it every time. And he just hasn't been able to do it the last 2 times.
Each of the last 2 times there has been a deep ball to Marquez Valdez-Scantling that has either hit him in the hands or where his hand should have been.
There are some consistencies. Are some consistencies.
This is something that it is uncharted territory. It's new ground for the Chiefs. They had 3 possessions in the fourth quarter. Down 21-19, down 24-19, down 27-19. Punt, interception, downs.
Yes.
3 different times they had a chance to either tie or take the lead / win the game, and they came away with a total of 49 yards.
Oh, I thought you were adding up the points.
No, 49 yards and 5 first downs in those 3 drives. 3 plays, 2 yards, 2 plays, 9 yards, 10 plays, 37 yards. The final minute 9 of the game had 10 plays.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
And
7 of them
5
were
of them botched, probably.
7 of them
wise.
were bad calls by the ref, both ways. Here's Andy Reid explaining how Jack Cochran did stepping in for Drew Tranquill against the Packers last night.
Yeah, so Jack rotates in during the week, and we'll spot Drew. That's part of what we do. Very, very smart, and he's very smart. And I thought he did a decent job in there. He made a couple of nice plays for us. I know everybody's got confidence in Jack. So it's too bad about Drew. He's been doing a phenomenal job for us, and just took a knee to the side of the head. I think you probably saw that. And so, fast recovery for him, we hope. And then it was a good experience for Jack to get in there and get some extensive play time. But Jack's he's not just a throw in there. He does a pretty good job.
Let's go next to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Coach, on that the interception last night with Sky and Patrick, I saw a comment from one of the Packers players that said that they had kind of picked up a tip on a hand gesture or something. I wondered if you could just kind of talk a little bit about not exactly what you guys do, but how cognizant are you of making sure you try to hide those things, and what kind of that game is in the National Football League to decipher and disguise what you guys are doing?
Yeah, very few of those things get by. I mean, normally you see it, you don't know what's coming, but you see something, and I'd say that's I'm not sure they've seen that same one before. So, but that's how that works.
I mean, according to the Packers, they saw it before.
Yeah,
whatever, and he knew what route was coming, and so he played the wheel route there at that particular time. It happens. So yeah, they've got to be better. Jack Cochran, I thought, was fine filling in for Drew Tranquill, but he is the third, inside linebacker. So I mean, he's the third guy on the depth chart. Not much that you can really expect from him, but it certainly does look like Mike Edwards is going to be playing, and Shamari Connor. Expanded roles now. The X-rays were negative with Brian Cook, but it was the pictures are positive and vomit-inducing
right.
for Brian Cook's ankle facing the wrong
way. Someone who
suffered
a lot of ankle sprains sometimes, and I don't know if it's the case this time. Sometimes they say, it's better to almost break it.
Yeah, that thing
because there's a lot of ligaments and tendons in there that get torn, and that's often as bad as a bone getting broken.
I saw it happen live, as most people would, but as soon as he went down, I was like, oh my God.
I've gotten older. I've matured. I'm like, I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
But even 2 years ago, I'm like, show it to me. I got to see it at least once.
Well,
now I'm good. I'm done.
I rewound it to see if my eyes saw what I thought they saw live, and they did. But you also know it's bad when the broadcast won't show the replay.
Yeah.
We're not going to show the replay. All right, well, that's not good. I thought it was more,
when they said that it was going to be more leg and knee. Right, we could stand ankle moving around, it was moving around, and it was a 360 basically. I did catch a picture on X. Appreciate that. Thanks, X.
The wrong way.
Yeah.
The ankle's not supposed to go that way, unless it's like a G.I. Joe, like the action figure, whatever, that has like the joints that can do some of those things. That's fine.
Ligament free.
Yeah, they got those little rubber things that you can. It's fine. But yeah, Drew Tranquill filled in fine. Mike Edwards has done a nice job in his role. that role now expands. I don't think he's nearly as good in the role that he's going to be playing now than what he was with the Chiefs. I've said that before, that, in the first 3 years in the league, he was a really good third safety for the Bucs. They moved him into a starting safety as last year, and he regressed.
Yeah.
He was a third safety with the Chiefs. He was playing really, really well at that spot. Now he's a starting safety. I don't think people will be coming away from games as pumped up about Mike Edwards as they have been so far this year. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and he plays awesome, but sometimes there's a Peter principle, and sometimes a guy's a fourth outfielder for a reason.
I'm glad you brought up earlier. I think the majority of this team's problems are offensive, but I'm glad you brought up the three-man rushes, right?
God.
And
three-man defensive line, like half
lines
the game.
in the first half. I think a lot of times with like rookie quarterbacks, although he's not a rookie quarterback, but he is in his first year starting. I think defensive coordinators get in their mind like, we want to confuse this guy with coverages, right?
Yeah.
Right? We're going to confuse him when a lot of times they don't know what they don't know, and a lot of times it's going to be see receiver, throw to receiver, right? And they're not on the level of Patrick Mahomes where, okay, I saw this kind of coverage before, 3 years ago in the Bills game, and I'm gonna dig from that well. He's just like, oh no, I'm gonna throw to that guy. He's open, to where like the majority of the time sending a fifth dude, right, and just rushing him. That's going to be the most confusing part, or the best advantage for you. And they did that a little bit more in the second half. Just with those younger quarterbacks, I think, giving them 2 seconds to throw with only 6 DBs in coverage is better than giving them 4 with 8 in coverage.
I would have loved to see Spagnuolo doing more of pressing the issue against Jordan Love and leaving the Chiefs secondary against Dobbs and Watson and Wicks and Heath and those guys and Reed, those receivers, rather than you give Love time in the pocket to look and survey, and eventually those guys pop open. But also a little bit to Spagnuolo's defense. They were ahead of the chains almost the entire first half, where it was 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 3 because they weren't stopping the run with A.J. Dillon, which you can say, is that a defensive Spags? This team is not as good stopping the run. It's just not how they're built. They're much better stopping the pass.
Especially without Nick Bolton out there.
Absolutely. And A.J. Dillon is a tough, hard-nosed, physical guy, and I do wonder if that's part of if teams can find that moving forward. The Bills don't have that. They've got James Cook. So they don't have the hard physical attack, downhill, punish you in the middle of your defense. They don't. Their strength is speed side to side, which is the Chiefs' strength is speed side to side. So we'll see. Here's Andy Reid as Matt Derrick asked him about Brian Cook's ankle.
Yeah, he's had work done on that ankle before. And so that's kind of what they're going through right now. Before anything's put out there, I don't want to give you anything that either way on that. Because I don't know because of the work that he's had done on that ankle. So I'm gonna just kind of save that for later till I can give it to you. The facts.
Gotcha. And the word for your team this year is united. What does that mean to you, especially at a time like this? And is that a message that you lean on to this team right now when you're going through a tough stretch? Yeah, so we're up and down right now. We've just got to get a little bit more consistent, and in order to do that, everybody's got to stick together. And so I've seen guys helping each other out. I haven't felt like anybody's turned their back on each other, but it's no more important than to be united together than now.
Maybe try Delta or American or I'm not. I don't know. JetBlue. That's no yellow. Yes. I mean, look. I don't doubt that they're united. I don't think they're a fractured group. I don't think they're fighting amongst each other. I don't think that's the case. They just have some issues. They have some struggles right now offensively that they've got to get figured out.
I have a take. I think they're united in these games are nowhere near the biggest games we've played or will play this season or will play in the rest of our lives. Let's get to January, and we're going to turn it on. And maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. That's just kind of the feel I get from this team that's been through the battles. Problem is now you're 8-4, and you got to battle this next month for playoff positioning.
Field Yates was on in the noon hour, and I don't know if you agree with this take or not. I thought it was interesting.
I do.
I'd have to go back and look.
Anything Field says.
That's right. He said he believes Sunday might be the most desperate regular season game the Chiefs may have with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Playing the most desperate. And he said if it's not the most, not having looked at all the different games, he's like, it's got to be up there in a handful of them because – and we started looking at it, like if the Chiefs lose against the Bills, they're not going to get the 1 seed. And so
at that point, you got to worry about winning the West.
Right.
A really bad West division.
And so is this how often have the Chiefs been in a position where they're playing a Bills team that's coming in wounded and is 6-6 and feels like they probably should be at least 7-5. They gave it game away against the Eagles. They've had a bye week. Chiefs are 2-3, as of late. And they've gone from the 1 seed to the 4 seed to – hey, the Broncos are right there. I mean, Russell Wilson threw 3 interceptions. If that was different, it might be a little scarier right now.
That helped.
That
last one.
What level of desperation or urgency do the Chiefs play at on Sunday compared to what would be a typical level throughout the Patrick Mahomes era in a regular season game? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at all of the different ones and try to remember what the feelings were going into that game. But no doubt this might be the most desperate feel they've had all year in a game.
I think it probably should be, but I don't know if it will. Every Chiefs game's the same. It's the same. It's the same. It's all the same. Everything's the same.
Second verse, same as the first.
Yeah, sometimes they'll win at the end. Lately, they haven't.
Yeah.
Every game's the same. There's the outliers, like the Bears game. We have a couple of those every season. That was a fun game. Remember that time?
Fun that was.
Taylor was there. She's like, these guys are amazing at this sport.
They never lose.
Never lose.
Broncos game on the road, outlier. You lose like that, you win like that. There's
the rest.
There's your you take the best and the worst away, and then everything else is there. It's like, yeah, this is pretty much what they've been, and I think that goes to show the margin for error is slim or non-existent with this team right now.
I think with the Chiefs, the margin for error is big. They just make a ton of errors. They close that gap a lot of times quickly. Every game.
Yeah. They don't have a margin for error. Well, they do. They just eliminate that margin throughout the game.
Mean, the book's out on the offense, right? They don't make explosive plays anymore. It's like, make them drive. Make them go 12 plays and score. Because chances are, most of the time, they're going to have a penalty they can't overcome. They're going to drop a pass, right? They're going to take a bad sack.
And they have
or they're going to do all those in one drive.
And they have bad turnovers, too. Because since the Chargers game, so when was that Chargers game? How many games have they played since the Los Angeles Chargers of Anaheim?
They have so many plays where, like, it's almost a turnover. It's like elbow down, balls out. Butts down, balls out. Like, that was almost a turnover.
Since October 22nd, the Chargers game, when they won 31-17, they have turned the ball over 8 times since that game. And of the 8 turnovers, 6 of them have been on first down. Of the 6 that were on first down, 5 of them were in the opponent's territory on first down. The other 2 turnovers that were not on first down was a 3rd and 20 against Miami when Mahomes was sacked and a 4th and 27 against the Broncos in which Mahomes threw the interception. Those are the only 2 non-first down turnovers the Chiefs have had since the Chargers game. They are not only drive killers, obviously they're drive stoppers, but it's not like it's 3rd and 9. You're like, I'm just trying to get it in, just force it in there, and it's a bad throw. It's first down, and they're fumbling or throwing interceptions.
I don't want that aggressiveness to change. I think that's one of the great things about this offense, about Patrick Mahomes, is, pedal to the metal, right? I don't want that to change. I don't want to, well, you need to start handing off on first down here and turn into every other team in football. I just want to be better in your aggressiveness, right? That's my ask, and maybe it's selfish and maybe it's a little too ambitious there, but that's what I said. Be better in your ambitiousness. Be better in your greatness.
Yeah.
You're great. You're just not showing it.
And a couple that pop into mind, like obviously last night on that first down throw to Sky Moore, like that's just a bad throw. Like, you can still be aggressive, but be better execution. The interception in the end zone against the Eagles to Justin Watson, he was there. It's a bad throw. Be better in execution. Like, I'm okay with being aggressive, right? But there have been some times when it's just like, okay, well, I'm just going to. And I think there's an element of Mahomes has been able to get away with putting some balls in riskier spots if there have been interceptions because they'll come back the next drive and go and score. And I think a lot of
times that pick too, that Packers pick gets dropped.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
We see those once every other game, right?
Yeah.
The one that's just right there.
Yeah.
Like last time I was like, God, why couldn't that be one of the ones where they just drop, right? And you forget about it after the win.
Right.
But
and
it
then,
happened.
And then at the end of the year, somebody makes a video of all the
Right.
interceptions that were dropped by Mahomes and why he's not that good of a quarterback.
But they make it on February 15th after they win the
That's
Super Bowl, right? Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
By the way, I feel like Josh looks right now. I mean, you're just like post game show out of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I've talked about this game plenty, and this team is frustrating. So I'm just kind of hanging out.
For a national
Whoa! Don't
title?
hey!
Oh,
We might have a best.
Oh, okay. There you
we
go.
Might have some highlights today in the show.
Yeah, we might. Okay, let's go. I hope they are highlights and not lowlights.
One of my LFB's already been taken, by the way. So yeah.
I can't go any higher.
Jason, don't blow your voice out
Yours
again.
was
We
the
can't do that.
Mahomes pick. Mine was the non-DPI and MVS right there. They just cancel each other out.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I think as much as Chiefs fans have sort of changed the way we approach this Chiefs offense and what they are, I think there's an element of the Chiefs offense sort of changing their approach and saying, yeah, we can't just be cavalier with the ball anymore. Like, we've had turnovers throughout the time that Patrick Mahomes has been the quarterback. Not necessarily he's throwing interceptions all the time, because he's not. But they can just come right back the next drive and score, and they aren't doing that now. Especially in a game where the defense, for whatever reason, couldn't get off the field. And I don't think last night's game is some indictment on the Chiefs' defense.
Johnny, it's happened with other teams before and other great quarterbacks. You go back and look. With the Chiefs, it's like even year good times, odd year bad times. In TV, even years are great because we get all the election money. Mm-hmm. It's a great time in even years. And if you're an NBC station, a lot of times that means Olympics as well.
Simone Biles.
Odd years is like, okay, strap up, okay? We're rationing here. We've got a chocolate bar. You know, everybody can have like a little piece, one a day. We're rationing till we get to 24. Olympics, election year, all that stuff. And I feel like, what was that, 18? Good times,
oh, my
right?
Mm-hmm.
50 touchdown passes, rolling through, 30-some points per game. 19, Mahomes gets injured. You're like, this team's snake bit.
Disaster.
They drop a couple games. They do come back, and they do win the Super Bowls.
In what year?
19.
In 20. Thank you.
February 2020.
Well, we won't. Yeah, then we won't do that. They won the Super Bowl. Technically, 23.
Well, that's fine. But then in 2020, they make the Super Bowl.
Well, 2020,
and then lose.
they rolled through. They rolled through that regular season.
Yes.
The comeback tour. We're repeating. What they call that? Run it back.
Run it back.
And then 21.
Turn the calendar.
That was when the two deep safeties happened, and Mahomes was averaging 7 yards a throw, right, and all that, and they got through it and got to overtime of a AFC Championship game. And then 22 comes and a much better season. He's back over 40 touchdown passes, and they put it together. They win Super. We're back here. This is 23. Yeah. This is rationing time.
Yeah, 2020 they were 17-1 in the calendar year, right? With the 3 games in the playoffs and then 14-1.
And you don't even count the one at the end, right? Was the one
that was in January, though, right?
That's right.
I think that was yes, that was the next year. So I think in the calendar year of 2020, they were 17-1 in that year. Unbelievable. Hey, do you want to give a ring to somebody?
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick anybody from the Chiefs, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say who gets the ring this week. I'm going to the college ranks, and I'm just going to say everyone who got to have a hand in pairing up the local teams. These are all 3 good matchups. They're on 3 separate days. Yeah. All good venues, all good names. Cotton Bowl, guaranteed rate. They have an arrow pointing down. There's a bad logo.
2 good names.
Yeah.
But 2 good names, the Pop-Tart Bowl and the Cotton Bowl.
And then you eat the mascot afterward.
Probably not at the Cotton Bowl. Just would be my
You can put cotton balls.
Yeah,
you put cotton balls in your mouth.
You eat a guaranteed rate? Funny story yesterday. Well, you'd be the judge, funny or not. We're putting the full screens together, the graphics together of the like the Cotton Bowl. I'm like, who sponsors that? Is that Allstate? Look, no, it's Goodyear. So I put that in Goodyear and Pop-Tarts. I'm like, who's? And I'm looking at the website. I'm like, who sponsors the Pop-Tart Bowl? And I'm like, oh man, I'm the biggest idiot right now. And so I'm like, it's obviously.
Kellogg's.
Yeah. And so then I go to guaranteed rate. And I'm like, I can't find the sponsor. I did it again.
Everyone involved with naming that the Pop-Tart Bowl gets the ring, brought to you by Ruback Fine Jewelry. Once you've been to Ruback one time, you're a customer for life. Call or text Hal today about scheduling your appointment at their new downtown location in Overland Park, 913-649-8811, or visit their website at ruback.co.
Who sponsors the Orange Bowl? Sesame Street. This bowl brought to you by the color orange.
Love is in the gun with Taylor to his left. Play clock down to 5. Now at 4. Love leans forward again, motions out to his right, takes the shotgun snap, back to pass, looking, steps up in the pocket. Love ducks under one pressure and then is sacked. First sack of the night for Kansas City. They got him back at the 22-yard line. Mike Dana gets home for a loss of 4, and that'll bring out Carlson and the field goal team.
All right, time for Learn Funniest Best is presented by Pyramid Roofing. For a free estimate, 816-966-1101 or pyramidroofingkc.com. Also remind you, Johnny's Tavern, Metro's premier sports bar, discounting the 18-inch New York-style specialty pizza for every KC game. Discount 19 points, and that is today, 19% off today. Special dine-in only. Go to johnnystavern.com for all the daily specials, but 19% off today, dine-in only. All right, Learn Funniest Best. Let's get to it and get through it. What I learned is that the refs at the halftime show for the Dr. Pepper football toss are useless.
Horrible.
Absolutely useless.
I was there.
Gavin versus Ryan.
My favorite Supreme Court case.
Yes. They go to overtime, tied at 10. They, after the first overtime, were tied at 16. Mm-hmm. Ryan ends up winning in double overtime. Right? Okay, that's fine. But wait! Ryan only made 5 shots.
We could tell. We were watching.
In the first overtime.
We were watching.
They counted him with 6.
And they counted one after.
Yeah. So instead of it being 16-16, it should have been 16-15, and Gavin winning $100,000. Ryan won $100,000. They both started overtime at 10, but for some reason, Ryan's scoreboard dropped to 9, and then it adjusted and jumped to 11.
Ridiculous.
11. The refs, what are they? There's 4 of them. They are just as useless
the NFL
as
doesn't
the
even
NFL
care.
refs.
Wait. Do you know where those 2 students were from at the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game? Do you know what colleges they attended?
Hell yeah, not Big 12
Big
schools.
12 schools.
Penn and Ohio State.
Awesome.
I can't keep up with conference realignment.
Awesome. That is so good.
They're joining the Big 12 too. I had no idea.
Penn basketball's pretty good.
And they all did the chest pass, and I just wanted to murder. Is it the SEC game that had the guy actually throwing it, and it was amazing?
And he won.
That's my quarterback.
What did you learn, Josh?
I was in Florida. This is a holdover from last week because I was helping my mom with something on her phone. A setting had changed, whatever. I was deleting Mick's phone number, lots of things on my mom's phone. And then I saw her notifications, and they included all of my tweets. I learned that my mom has my tweets on push notifications, which I said at the time to her is a horrible thing. I cannot believe she is doing.
Terrible idea.
And it has definitely changed how I've tweeted in the last week, so I'm going to have to live with that forever.
Okay.
Yeah, I've noticed a change in you.
Yeah, I figured.
A lot more PG. What'd you learn, Mick?
I learned that no time is too much time to lose a game in college basketball.
Yes.
Yale.
Yes.
You hear about this?
Oh, yeah.
Yale was up on Vermont 65-62.
They were up by 5 with 3.8 seconds left.
But this part is more amazing.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
With 0.6 seconds left. So we've seen that before.
Yeah.
Up by 5.
That's right.
You know, and the other team has the ball.
Yeah.
You have the ball.
Yep.
With 0.6 seconds left, and you're up 3, and you lose in regulation.
Awesome.
Up 3, 0.6 seconds left. You have the ball. You lose in regulation.
Unbelievable.
All it takes is a foul on the inbounds, goes to the other team, throw inside, outside, catch, shoot, foul, banked in 3. Hits the free throw with no time on the clock.
Amazing.
And Vermont wins. That was unbelievable.
That was going to be my best, so I don't need a best anymore.
Let's go.
My best was all the fans in the aisles and the exits that stopped and watched and were going crazy and cheering because they were all walking
They're not
out.
the real ones.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. When Yale went up 5 with 3.8 seconds left, it was a stream of people leaving the game. And then they score a layup with 3.8 seconds left, the offensive foul, the 3, the foul, the free throw, and they go crazy. What did you learn this weekend, Dylan?
So I learned that Mike Evans is a bona fide Hall of Famer. He is also on the same pace with the 1,000, a little bit better pace actually than Travis. He's had 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons every year he's been in the NFL.
Wow.
And the quarterbacks include Josh McCown, Mike Glennon, Jameis Winston, Ryan Fitzpatrick, a man named Ryan Griffin, Blaine Gabbert, Brady for 3 seasons, Trask, and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's amazing. What was the funniest for you, Josh?
Jim Harbaugh.
What? Who? John? Jim?
Jim
Jack.
Harbaugh and the meaning of bet to Michigan football.
Our players came up with this bet, and
Yeah, I even had to look up what it means, but what it means to me is bringing everyone together, and that's what our team has done. So, bet.
What the heck? Bringing everyone together.
Bet.
So. That's unbelievable.
That's sus.
He's just trolling. He's just trolling is what he's doing at that point. What was the funniest for you, Mick?
Eli Drinkwitz.
A lot of funnies.
Hey guys, I got a quick phone call. Connor Stallion's beeping in right here. I'm trying to get a few signals here, so I gotta go. But as soon as we get done, look forward to competing against Ryan Day, and we'll go from there.
The joke was funny. I'm laughing at the boldness of him throwing that out there,
dude.
To throw his name out there. So I imagine he's saying, I know he's playing.
He's playing Ohio State.
Yeah, and Michigan is playing.
Well, Ohio State was a big issue. Like they were stealing our signs, and so he's saying Connor Stallions was stealing Ohio State signs. So hold on, Connor Stallions is going to give me some signs.
Yes,
I got to call you guys back. Oh, it's fantastic. There are a lot of people that are annoyed by Eli Drinkwitz that I saw after that going, all right, that's pretty good. Oh, okay, yep. One person I can't remember who was like, yeah, he's starting to grow on me a little bit.
Well, because he
winning
helps.
Funny.
9 wins.
Winning
10
helps.
10 wins.
When
That's
you get
why.
10 wins. Now
That's
he's funny.
why.
It's
Yes.
like, when you're poor, you're crazy. When you're rich, you're eccentric.
That's exactly
And
what it is.
He's won 10 games, and now he's just funny. Just a funny guy. Win 6 games, and this guy's annoying. Shut up. What was the funniest for you, Dylan?
The funniest, I don't know if anyone saw this picture from the Zoom meeting for the Orange Bowl coaches meeting.
No.
Which was Jay Norvell and Kirby Smart. It looks like they are at a Zoom funeral. They are very, very upset and not hiding it in their faces at all. It's a hilarious picture. I retweeted it if you want to go find it.
Mike Norvell, right?
Mike Norvell, yeah.
Excuse me, my bad.
You're good.
Jay Norvell was on my mind from the Colorado State game.
Yeah,
That's right.
I'm sure he's upset by something.
Probably, yes.
Probably he's mad about something. I'm not sure. Dion got Sports Person of the Year. He's upset about that. My funniest. Michigan's reaction to Bama being fourth and not Florida State with the audible groan in the stands there. Jason Sudeikis' running man at the Iowa women's basketball game was awesome. But my real funniest of the weekend was Kirk Herbstreit before the 4 teams were announced. They're going to him. They're getting his analysis, and the 4 helmets behind him are Michigan, Texas, Washington, and Alabama. The whole time he's talking before they released the college football playoff yesterday, he's spending all morning talking to different people. Those are the 4 helmets behind him the whole time. The best for you, Mick?
Best for me is the Iowa bar that gave away free beer until they scored a point in the Big Ten championship game. They gave away only 100 free beers. I'm like,
crazy.
Wait, you didn't take advantage. Come on, Iowans.
That's crazy.
That was mine. Perfect, Mick. Thank you.
My best was the Yale, Vermont. Josh?
Today at 2 o'clock, Mid-American Nazarene men's soccer plays in the NAIA National Championship game.
Go get them. We'll have highlights on 41.
There we go. Watch the highlights on 41.
Only 11 minutes away.
Hurry up. I got to go tailgate.
All right, great. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More on next.
Can it go back to 2 next year?
One.
I hate that it's going to 12. Go to
Let's just do
1.
bowl
Let's do
games.
the polls again.
Let's do bowl games. They
I
should go
can't die in a fire quick enough. It's the college football invitational, by the way. It's not a playoff. It's not a play. It's the BCS National Championship game, only a little taller. It's the BCS National Championship game that went to grad school, basically. That's what it is.
That's right, yeah. And next year it's going to get its PhD.
It is.
You're going to get to 12 teams and all of that stuff. But you know what? Local schools, fun. Missouri's got the Ohio State and opt-outs
New Year's
and
Six
stuff.
Bowl, that's 3 days before New Year's.
That's right.
Huh. Yeah, why? That's just
That's
wrong.
dumb.
It's a new year.
Fix that.
And they get to eat the cotton. Kansas gets to eat the guaranteed rate, and K-State gets to eat the Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, K-State wins in that one.
Yeah.
I've tried them all.
We all win.